Chapter 634. Wang Daoyuan was not surprised that Emperor Zhao brought up this matter. At that time, the eldest prince was the most prestigious successor, and finally received the approval of almost all of the Zhao family's subordinate forces. Before the eldest prince died, he asked someone to give Emperor Zhao a backup plan, which meant that the eldest prince intended to let him be the successor. In this way, he could also increase the legitimacy of his succession. At this time, he proposed to continue the eldest prince's bloodline, which could also show his deep brotherly relationship with the eldest prince. Wang Daoyuan replied, "Replying to your majesty, Zhao Liang's descendants are not few. The eldest son Wang Mingting's talent is not bad, he entered the divine weapon pavilion, and is now my younger brother Wang Daoyin's disciple. The rest of the sons have already left the mountain for many years, each has a big family, it is too troublesome to acknowledge their ancestors. Only the youngest son Wang Mingzai, who is now more than 40 years old, is still unmarried. Mingzai is a 3 spiritual roots cultivator, his main spiritual root is the 7-inch 7-part water spiritual root. Letting Wang Mingzai acknowledge his ancestors, I don't know if your majesty is satisfied?" Wang Mingzai acknowledging his ancestors, it would also be very beneficial for the Wang family. He is already more than 40 years old, and his feelings for the Wang family are very deep. Once he acknowledges his ancestors, Emperor Zhao will, no matter what, train him well. In this way, the Wang clan and the Zhao clan would have an additional link to strengthen their relationship. Emperor Zhao nodded, a 3 spiritual roots cultivator, 7-inch 7-part water spiritual root, it can be considered a top talent. With water spiritual roots, he can practice my Zhao family's ancestral cultivation method. In the past, Imperial Brother wanted to practice the Gui Shui Divine Thunder, but he could not. Now his grandson can be considered to make up for his regret. Imperial Brother was Imperial Father's eldest son, he should have inherited the throne. Unfortunately, he died at the hands of a traitor, he should have been posthumously bestowed the title of prince. Mingzai succeeded to the title of Duqiansi. Minister Zong Jingqing, the matter of Mingzai acknowledging his ancestors will be handed over to you. In the future, let him follow you to practice our Zhao family's inheritance. The Zhao family does not easily bestow the title of prince, even if it is a child of the imperial family. If he has a great merit, he can only be bestowed the title of duke. The title of prince is extremely rare, generally it is not a hereditary title, the younger generation can only be bestowed the title of duke. The only person who can inherit the title of prince is the Linhai Wang. The first generation Linhai king was the younger brother of the founding emperor of the Zhao country. He made great contributions to the country and was granted the hereditary title of king. Wang Mingzai hadn't made any contributions, so being conferred the title of duke was already a great bargain. Zhao Jinghua cupped his hands and said, "This subject obeys the decree." This subject still has one more matter to consult his majesty. What should he do with Zhao Ling Tian's descendants? No matter how well these people treat them, they're just a bunch of ingrates. Emperor Zhao sighed, no matter how muddle-headed 6th brother is, the younger generation is always innocent. Our Zhao family's descendants have withered, we can't fight among ourselves anymore. Among 6th brother's descendants, only the mortals were allowed to stay. They were treated the same as the other clansmen. As for the cultivator clansmen, send them to 6th brother. Emperor Zhao's political skills were really not weak. Mortals did not know anything, even if they were kept alive, they would not be able to stir up any big waves. They could even increase the Zhao family's population. The descendant of the 6th prince was destined to be an ungrateful wretch. It was definitely not suitable to keep him in his hands. If he killed her, it would make him seem too heartless. Right now, the 6th prince was truly alone. He did not have a single person under him that he could use. He was just a puppet. Song country itself had a lot of troublesome matters, so he would not invest much strength in Zhao country. His subordinates were still the Thousand Spirit sect. If he sent his descendants there now, it would also increase his authority. With the 6th prince's virtue of being greedy for power, once he had his own people, he would definitely want to seize power. If he roped in the cruel Sun Palace, he could really contend with the Thousand Spirit sect. If the 6th prince's side fought among themselves, it would be easier for Emperor Zhao to deal with them in the future. After discussing these matters, the non-Zhaojia cultivators also left the Three River Market and returned to their fiefdoms to restore their businesses as soon as possible. Wang Daoyuan also bid farewell to Emperor Zhao and returned to Clear Glass County. Emperor Zhao was still quite generous. He sent out a fourth-rank flying warship, carrying half of the emperor's ceremonial armor, to send Wang Daoyuan back. Only the first-generation Linhai king could use half of the emperor's ceremonial armor. Wang Daoyuan rode the flying warship all the way back to Jade Spring Peak. The clansmen on Jade Spring Peak were all happy. This time, the cultivators that Wang Daoyuan had brought with him had suffered minimal losses. When they were attacking Myriad Spirits County, none of the Wang clan's foundation establishment cultivators had perished. With the Zhao family's victory, the Wang family's position was also stabilized. The whole Clear Glass County, plus Green Willow Province, was the Wang family's territory. When the ancestor was alive, he could only dream about it, but now he really did it. Wang Daoyuan greeted the 12th uncle and the 3rd brother. Just as he was about to go to the underground cave and talk about life with Zhou Wan, he received a message from Shi Zhenbang. He was ordered by Emperor Zhao to hand over the territory around Hundred Rivers Lake to Wang Daoyuan. This was really accurate, but Green Willow Province was of great importance and could not be delayed. Wang Daoyuan sent a message to Zhou Wan with his spiritual sense, then led more than 10 cultivators from the Treasury Department to Green Willow Province. When he arrived at Green Willow Province, he found that it was not as lively as before. After the baptism of war in Zhao, many small families were directly destroyed. Many of the rogue cultivators in Green Willow Province were recruited by Emperor Zhao. Some took advantage of the destruction of other families to occupy spiritual mountains and establish their own families. There were about 100,000 rogue cultivators left in Green Willow Province, so it was still a large market. Moreover, as long as the war stopped, the number of rogue cultivators would rapidly increase. In less than 30 years, they would be able to recover to their previous level. When he arrived at Green Willow Province, he scanned with his spiritual sense and found 2 early golden core cultivators in a cave in the north of the island. One of them was Shi Zhenbang. He flew to the cave, and the 2 also walked out of the cave and bowed, "Greetings, Your Highness." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand, "No need to be so polite." Shi Zhenbang introduced, "Your Highness, this is Zhao Yuqi, the eldest son of the Crown Prince." Wang Daoyuan carefully looked at Zhao Yuqi and found that this person was familiar. It was Zhao Qi that he met when he traveled in the Xianin market. "Your Highness is really brave. When you were in the foundation establishment stage, you came to the Xianin market." Zhao Yuqi looked puzzled. "Your Highness, how do you know that I was in the Xianin market when I was in the foundation establishment stage?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. "When I was in the 3rd level of the foundation establishment stage, I used the name Zhou Ming and stayed in the Xianin market. At that time, a late foundation establishment stage cultivator named Zhao Qi wanted to recruit me to join the Xianin Guard." Zhao Yuqi pondered for a moment before he came to a sudden realization. That fellow Daoist Zhou from back then was actually the Royal Highness. "So, we are old acquaintances." The 2 exchanged greetings for a while, and then Shi Zhenbang said, "Your Highness, we are under the order of His Majesty to hand over Green Willow Province to you. Please accept it." After that, he handed the basic account book and several tokens to Wang Daoyuan. "This is the account book of all the industries in Green Willow Province, in addition to the tokens to control the formation, and the key to the treasure house." Wang Daoyuan took these things and handed them to the cultivators of his own finance hall. Under the leadership of several foundation establishment stage cultivators of Green Willow Province, the people of the finance hall went to receive the industries and the treasure house. Shi Zhenbang cupped his hands and said, "Your Highness, do you want to see the secret land of Green Willow Province now?" As early as the first meeting, Wang Daoyuan guessed that there was a secret land hidden under Green Willow Province. Now that the whole Green Willow Province was handed over to Wang Daoyuan, there was nothing to hide. Wang Daoyuan nodded, and Shi Zhenbang and Zhao Yuqi took him into the cave. There was a tunnel in the cave, leading all the way down. This tunnel was connected to many stone rooms, and it went down to more than 2,000 feet underground. At the end of the tunnel, the the three came to a stone room. There were many tree roots on the walls of the stone room, and in front of them was a light screen. Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual sense to examine the light screen, and found that there was an entrance to a secret land, but it was obviously different from the ones he had seen before. The entrance to the mystic realm was completely supported by an array formation. In that case, the mystic realm behind the light screen should be man-made. The difficulty of creating a man-made secret land was extremely high, much higher than an improved secret land like the five-element secret land. The Zhao clan definitely did not have this ability, so it should have been left behind by the Valley of Beasts. Chapter 635. Man-made mystic realms required one to control and use spatial laws at will. Even Yuanian cultivators couldn't do it. Refining storage bags and yin and yang rings was also considered the use of spatial laws. However, that was only the use of spatial artifact patterns. Artifact patterns and runes were a form of materialization of laws. To create a brand new artifact pattern from scratch, one had to have a deep understanding of the laws and be able to materialize them. Those who learned this artifact pattern only needed to copy it and didn't need to master spatial laws. Runes, array patterns, and elixir patterns that Wang Daoyuan had yet to learn were all the same. Man-made mystic realms had both advantages and disadvantages compared to natural mystic realms. The advantage was that it was easy to modify and was less affected by the great world. The disadvantage was that it didn't have much room for growth. What it looked like after it was created would be the limit of its growth. It would only gradually decline and wouldn't grow on its own. The spirit veins wouldn't grow as well. In order to make a man-made mystic realm grow, a large amount of spatial-related high-grade spiritual items would have to be invested. Ordinary natural mystic realms had the chance to grow gradually. Natural secret realms like the five-element secret realm that had been artificially modified were much more stable than natural secret realms, but they had less room for growth. Zhao Yuqi, Shi Zhenbang, and Wang Daoyuan entered the light screen together. Inside was a cylindrical space with a diameter of more than 200 miles and a height of 10,000 feet. The entire space was very flat. Other than the spirit fields, there were springs, streams, and small lakes. There were traces of spirit plants being moved away from the spirit fields. However, there were also plenty of Class 3 and Class 4 spirit plants. There was even a Class 3 inferior grade quintessential fruit tree. There was a Class 4 middle grade attributeless spirit vein in the mystic realm. Its branch spirit vein covered the entire mystic realm. Every place in the mystic realm had the potential to cultivate spirit fields. This was also one of the advantages of man-made mystic realms. Every place in the mystic realm had high value. The edge of the mystic realm was a rock layer. In order to save space, all the buildings were built close to the rock wall. Zhao Yuqi cupped his hands and said, "My Royal Highness, according to Imperial Grandfather's instructions, half of the spirit plants in the space will be moved away and the other half will be left for the Royal Highness. The Zhao family has many things to do and we are also lacking in all kinds of spiritual plants. I hope that Your Highness will forgive us." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "It doesn't matter. These spirit herbs were found by the ancestors of the Zhao clan. I have nothing to say even if you guys take them all. It's already good enough that you left half for me." Zhao Qi then pointed at the buildings on the cliff and smiled. There are places to live, cultivate, and practice spells. There are also places to refine pills and forge weapons. This man-made mystic realm has existed for countless years. Even my Zhao family only discovered it by chance a few thousand years ago. Although it had been developed for thousands of years, their knowledge was limited. Now that the handover is complete, we still have to report back to Imperial Grandfather. If Your Highness doesn't have any other instructions, we'll take our leave." Wang Daoyuan had nothing else to say, so the two of them took their leave. He used his divine sense to explore the various spirit plants and found that they were very complete. From level 1 to level 4, there were all kinds of common spirit plants. All the spirit herbs needed to refine the Jade Marrow Vitality Enhancing Pill were available here. The materials needed to refine the Gold Formation Pill could be gathered now, and they were all alive. Apart from spirit herbs, there were also many spirit trees here. There were fruit trees and many spirit trees used for forging weapons. For example, there was a small forest of phoenix feather fur that Wang Daoyuan had obtained from the Zhou Empire's auction. There were over 100 of them here. Among them, there were over 50 level 3 phoenix feather fur. It had to be said that the Zhou Emperor was truly generous. He had even left behind 2 mu of level 3 spirit grains. These spirit grains looked very similar to the level 2 yellow sprout millet, except that the grains had purple gold veins on them. They should be the purple gold yellow sprout millet cultivated by the Zhao family. Level 3 spirit grains were of great help to Violet Palace realm cultivators in increasing their cultivation. For a power, the value of a level 3 spirit grain might be even higher than that of high-level spirit plants. After all, high-level spirit plants usually grew for hundreds or even thousands of years. No matter how much they planted, they wouldn't be able to increase their strength in a short period of time. Although the purple gold yellow sprout millet was a level 3 spirit grain, it only needed 30 years from planting to harvesting. For Violet Palace realm and foundation establishment cultivators, this amount of time was still bearable. It was just that the purple gold yellow sprout millet's requirements for the spirit fields were too high. Wang Daoyuan also dug up a few stalks and moved them into the space of the spiritual pearl. It wasn't impossible to grow level 3 spirit grains near the life spirit fire. This could be considered a backup plan left by the Zhao family. The Zhao Emperor relied on this secret realm and the resources around the 100 River Lake to save up enough resources to revive the country. Without the resources of the Green Willow province, they wouldn't have been able to revive the country. In this secret realm, there were close to 500 mu of level 4 spirit fields, 3,000 mu of level 3 spirit fields, and 50,000 mu of level 2 spirit fields. There were very few level 1 spirit fields. If they continued to develop, almost all of the land could be turned into spirit fields. It was just that the demand for manpower was too high. The family's resources were too thin, and there were too few cultivators. The current spirit plant farmers weren't enough. They could only try their best to maintain the level 3 and 4 spirit fields and increase the number of spirit plant farmers in the family. The value of these spirit fields had already exceeded the sum of all the properties of the players. The Wang family's Jade Spring Peak also had a medium level 4 spirit vein, but there were very few spirit fields. It wasn't near the spirit vein, where they could casually open up a wasteland and call it a spirit field. This was the legacy of a spirit plant farmer. The Wang family only had the level 2 spirit plant farmer legacy. Relying on the Jade Dragon Spring water, they could barely open up level 3 spirit fields. There was no hope for level 4 spirit fields. However, the Underworld sect legacy from Zhongzhenyang also had the level 4 spirit plant farmer legacy. After all, the Underworld sect was a Jindan stage power with thousands of years of history. The spirit plant farmer legacy was still passable. With this legacy, relying on the Jade Dragon Spring water, it was possible to open up level 4 spirit fields. At least, it wasn't a problem to use it to maintain the level 3 and 4 spirit fields in the secret realm. Although the Green Willow Province secret realm's future wasn't as good as the 5 Elements secret realm, but its current value far exceeded the 5 Elements secret realm. The only shortcoming was that there were no minerals in the secret realm. However, the 100 River Lake surroundings could make up for this. In the mine map that he had obtained before, it recorded that there were 3 level 3 spirit veins nearby. Furthermore, the Zhao family couldn't control all the spirit veins here. The loose cultivators in this place often obtained all kinds of strange materials. There must be many other spirit veins in the surroundings. As long as he carefully investigated, the potential was still very large. With this family's wealth, even if the Zhao Emperor didn't do business with the Wang family, he could still save up enough resources to revive the country. The only difference was the speed. When the Green Willow Province did business with other families, it was mainly to deceive people and recruit people at the same time. Without the means of doing business, taking out large amounts of resources out of thin air, the 3 sects wouldn't let go of the Green Willow Province. Wang Daoyuan carefully investigated the entire secret realm. He found that this secret realm seemed to have energy from the outside world. Furthermore, this energy wasn't just pure spirit energy. It also had extremely strong vitality. Carefully investigating the inside and outside of the secret realm, and combining it with the incomplete legacy of the 100-spirit true monarch, Wang Daoyuan had a guess. The energy from the outside world should have come from the Green Willow Province's large willow tree. This willow tree was very likely the legendary hollow willow that had the laws of space. Opening a secret realm wasn't a simple matter. In addition to grasping the laws of space, it also needed to have heaven and earth treasures that could support space. This secret realm should have been opened with the hollow willow as the foundation. It was no wonder that the large willow tree had grown so big, but it was still an unranked spirit plant. The large willow tree's vitality and the laws of space had been introduced into this secret realm by the senior experts. In this way, the man-made mystic realm and the willow tree were bound together for good or ill. If the willow tree could be upgraded, this secret realm would also be upgraded. If the willow tree was destroyed, this secret realm wouldn't be able to survive alone. Chapter 636. Since he had the secret realm in his hands, Wang Daoyuan naturally wanted it to continue growing. When the hollow willow leveled up, the secret realm might expand a bit, or it might become more stable, or the spirit vein might be of a higher grade. The life spirit fire had an extremely strong effect on spirit plants. Not only could it make the life force of spirit plants more vigorous, it could also promote their leveling up. He could cultivate another pseudo-life spirit fire and place it here to nourish the hollow willow. The current land in the Green Willow secret realm was already enough. With the clan's current population growth rate, it would be very difficult to develop all of it without 200 or 300 years. The hollow willow had been here for who knows how many years and hadn't leveled up. It didn't matter if the life spirit fire was a pseudo-life spirit fire or a pseudo-life spirit fire a few years earlier or later. The most important thing now was to gain a foothold in the Green Willow province and migrate more clan members to develop the secret realm. He sent a message to third brother, explaining the situation in the Green Willow secret realm and asking him to bring the cultivators of the spirit plant hall to the Green Willow province. Soon, the third brother brought a dozen cultivators to the Green Willow secret realm. Seeing this vast secret realm and so many level 3 and level 4 spirit fields, as well as level 3 and level 4 spirit plants, these clan members couldn't believe it. The third brother also asked with a face full of surprise, "Seventh brother, this secret realm belongs to our clan now?" Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Yes, it's not the first time we've seen a secret realm, do you have to be so excited?" The third brother waved his hand and said, "The difference between the 5-element secret realm and here is still a bit big. After more than 100 years of growth, the spirit vein there is only level 3 medium grade. It can't compare to level 4 medium grade spirit veins here. Also, these spirit veins are non-elemental spirit veins. I've been worried that there won't be a place to form a core in the future, but now I don't have to worry. With this secret realm, no matter what attribute a cultivator has, they can form a core. The secret realm is isolated from the rest of the world, and there's no need to worry about outside interference. Not to mention there are so many spirit fields and spirit plants." Wang Daoyuan took out a few beast skin books from the space in the spirit pearl and handed them to the third brother. "This is the level 4 spirit plant farmer inheritance that I obtained from the Netherworld sect, for the cultivators of the spirit plant hall to cultivate. It shouldn't be a problem to maintain these grade 3 and grade 4 spiritual fields." He had to be careful with those few rank 3 spirit grains. They were the foundation of the family's prosperity. The big willow tree outside was bound to the mystic realm for good or ill. In the future, the Green Willow Island market will have to be moved away from the big willow tree and build a city to protect the big willow tree and the entrance to the secret realm. The third brother took the beast skin book and said with a smile, "Don't worry, this is nothing." Wang Daoyuan nodded, "It's better to leave Green Willow Island to the family, I'm more at ease. You'll be in charge. I need to improve my alchemy skills as soon as possible so that I can refine gold formation pills. Fifth great uncle, you, and Ming Shan will find it difficult to form our gold cores on our own. Ming Shan wants to marry the crown prince's daughter as his wife, and Ming Zhe wants to acknowledge his ancestors and return to the clan. These matters will be handed over to you as the clan leader." After leaving all the troublesome matters to his third brother, he returned to Jade Spring Peak. Wanchuan Market had also completed the handover. However, the handover was done in the name of the county king's estate. Wanchuan Market was beside the Wanchuan River, west of which was the interior of Zhao. If one followed the Wanchuan River upstream, one could go all the way to Zhou through Zheng. East of Linhai Province, one could obtain all kinds of spiritual items from the sea. Especially now that all the families in Linhai Province had their own fiefs in Linchuan County, the connections between the Sky Beheading Mountain Range and the Wanchuan Market would become more prosperous. Its importance far surpassed that of Qingli Market. Wanchuan Market also had a rank 4 spirit vein and a defensive formation, so it was even safer. Therefore, Wang Daoyuan moved the county king's estate to Wanchuan Market. The 12th uncle was still in charge of all the affairs of the county king's estate. His position was also changed from head steward to prime minister of Qingli County. After returning to Jade Spring Peak, he went to the underground cave. Zhou Wan was soaking in the hot spring in the garden. The underground water vein he had drawn had turned into a hot spring under the heat of the lava. At this moment, Zhou Wan was leaning on the edge of the hot spring. Beside her, there was a large rock with spiritual fruits and other things. Seeing Wang Daoyuan enter, Zhou Wan smiled and said, "This time, you didn't have the support of this hall master's information during the peace talks with the Song country. You suffered a loss, right?" Wang Daoyuan took off his clothes and also entered the hot spring. "Even if you suffered a loss, it wouldn't be on my head. I also can't play with the Song country until it becomes useless. Otherwise, if Emperor Zhao doesn't have an opponent, wouldn't he be able to torment the nobles in the country? It's just nice to keep the long-legged prince for the two brothers to play with and relieve their boredom. It wasn't easy for me to come back. Let's not talk about those things outside. Let me scrub my beloved concubine's back." 3 days later, Zhou Wan was still asleep. Wang Daoyuan woke up energized and went to the earth fire room in front of him to try refining rank 4 medicinal pills. There was a huge gap between rank 3 and rank 4 alchemy. This gap was called pill veins. Pill veins were similar to tool veins, talisman veins, and formation veins. However, there were much fewer types. For example, there were flame-controlling pill veins to adjust the flame and spirit-extracting pill veins to extract the essence of spirit herbs. Pill veins were not inscribed. Instead, they were condensed with spiritual sense, just like the tool veins of the life magic tool. The things that pill veins could do were also done when refining medicinal pills. However, these tasks were forcibly completed by relying on the power of spiritual sense. These tasks were extremely tedious and relied entirely on spiritual sense. It consumed a lot of spiritual sense and was especially easy to make mistakes. Refining rank 4 medicinal pills and below was not a big problem. Generally, refining a cauldron of medicinal pills would take a few hours. An alchemist's spiritual sense could still handle it. However, it would take at least 1 to 2 months to refine a cauldron of 4th-grade medicinal pills. During this process, without the assistance of pill veins, Yuanian cultivators would not be able to handle it if they relied solely on spiritual sense. Generally speaking, pill veins relied on the power of laws to complete the tasks of refining medicinal pills. Controlling the flame, extracting the essence of spirit herbs, fusing the essence of spirit herbs, as well as condensing and nourishing medicinal pills could all be done with the help of pill veins. The effect of the pill veins was much stronger than before by relying on the power of spiritual sense. Moreover, the consumption of spiritual sense was much lower. Of course, condensing pill veins was not a simple matter. Condensing pill veins required the use of spiritual sense, and the strength of one's spiritual sense was also very high. Very few Zifu realm cultivators could condense pill veins. Firstly, their spiritual sense was not strong enough. Secondly, their comprehension of spiritual sense was not enough. Wang Daoyuan had no problem. His spiritual sense was not weaker than most late Golden Core realm cultivators. Moreover, he had comprehended a minor divine ability. His control of spiritual sense was far beyond that of ordinary Golden Core realm cultivators. The method of condensing pill veins was unique to each alchemy inheritance. Wang Daoyuan's rank 4 alchemy inheritance came from 100 Spirit True Lord. The method of condensing pill veins was quite brilliant. After practicing in the underground cave for a year, he finally finished condensing all the commonly used pill veins. The biggest difference between a rank 4 low-grade alchemist and a rank 3 high-grade alchemist was pill veins. With pill veins, everything else was easy. It was just a matter of practice. He used pill veins to refine a few furnaces of purple rhythm pills. This was also to familiarize himself with the use of pill veins. Then, he began to refine jade essence cultivating pills. He also took the time to use silver light mysterious iron to forge a rank 4 low-grade alchemy furnace. After all, rank 4 medicinal pills needed to be nurtured after refining. And the time was relatively long, so he needed a pill furnace. The pill furnace used by ordinary people was best refined with fire attribute materials. However, when Wang Daoyuan was refining pills, he used 5 elements spirit fire to temper different spiritual herbs. Using a fire attribute pill furnace was not very good, so he used silver light mysterious iron, a non-attribute material. Spiritual sense was strong enough. There was no need to extract the essence of the spiritual herbs one by one. Taking out all the spiritual herbs needed for a furnace of pills, he then condensed dozens of spirit-gathering pill veins. Together with the spirit fire, he extracted the essence of all the spiritual herbs at the same time. Except for the addition of pill veins, which consumed less spiritual sense power, there was not much change in the process. After failing 3 times, Wang Daoyuan successfully refined 3 jade essence cultivating pills. From now on, he was qualified to say that he was a rank 4 low-grade alchemist. Chapter 637. If it was a pill below level 4, it would be considered done after the pill was formed. However, level 4 pills contained too much spiritual power and could not be taken out immediately after the pill was formed. Otherwise, a large amount of spiritual power would dissipate and even destroy the pill. The pill needed to be nurtured in the cauldron for a period of time to stabilize the spiritual power within. After the pill was formed, Wang Daoyuan heaved a long sigh of relief. The process of nurturing the pill was relatively easy. As long as the corresponding pill pattern was formed and the pill was not moved carelessly, it would not fail. Therefore, as long as the pill was formed, it would be considered a success. The jade marrow essence nurturing pill needed about a month of nurturing. Wang Daoyuan placed the cauldron on the fire eye and replenished the pill pattern in the cauldron with spiritual power every 3 days. Zhou Wan walked out of the cave abode with a cup of tea. You've been concentrating for the past few days. Now that you've relaxed, you should have succeeded, right? Wang Daoyuan took the teacup and drank a few mouthfuls. Of course. Don't you know who I am? Now that the pill is formed, all that's left is nurturing. Nurturing is simple too. I just need to ensure the pill pattern is stable. Now, let's cultivate the Cloud and Rain Heart Sutra together. It won't delay anything. Zhou Wan pinched his waist. You're always so mischievous. Wang Daoyuan gasped. My body is so strong and I even used the thick earth mystic handle. Why couldn't I block that move of yours? Zhou Wan glanced at him proudly. When I pinched you, I used Bloodshadow's secret technique to extort a confession. Even a demon wouldn't be able to withstand that, let alone a body cultivator who cultivates organs like you. Wang Daoyuan was completely subdued by this move and could only admit defeat. A month later, a rich medicinal fragrance wafted into the room from the underground fire room. Both of them were startled awake. Wang Daoyuan immediately ran out. He opened the cauldron lid and saw 3 white pills the size of longans. There were purplish gold patterns on them. The rich medicinal fragrance from before came from this medicinal pill. He took out the pills and put them into a special jade box, which could reduce the loss of the pill's spiritual energy. Zhou Wan also put on her clothes and walked out. She asked, "Is the medicinal pill done?" Give me one to try. Wang Daoyuan opened the jade box, and another wave of medicinal fragrance wafted out. People who have spiritual fire, why would they care about these pills? Zhou Wan took a pill and swallowed it. This pill can increase the speed of condensing true essence. It is also useful for people like us who have spiritual fire. With that, she returned to her room to meditate and cultivate. Wang Daoyuan put away the remaining 2 pills and was about to continue refining pills. Suddenly, he received a message from Zhao Jinghua. He wanted to come over and discuss the marriage of Princess Zhao Yu. The matter of Wang Mingzi returning to the clan had long been settled. After all, this was something that could improve Emperor Zhao's reputation, so they were naturally more concerned. As early as 10 months ago, Zhao Jinghua had brought Wang Mingzi to the Three River Market. Emperor Zhao gave him the name Zhao Xuani, and he followed Zhao Jinghua to cultivate Zhao family's legacy. Previously, Zhao family couldn't even assemble a complete court structure. Marriage, which wasn't too urgent, naturally had to be pushed back. A year had passed, and the court structure should have been set up. They just needed a big happy event to liven things up. Zhao Jinghua came in person, so Wang Daoyuan naturally had to welcome him. He greeted Zhao Jinghua 100 miles south of Shanbei. The two entered the auditorium and sat down as the host and guest. Zhao Jinghua cupped his hands and said, "Prince, previously, we discussed the marriage between you and His Majesty. Due to busy affairs, it was delayed until today. Now that the various affairs in the capital are on track, His Majesty wants to hurry up with the marriage. What do you think, Prince?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. Since His Majesty has spoken, there is naturally no problem. Minister Zong is in charge of royal etiquette. You still have to decide on the various etiquette for Princess Zhao Yu's marriage. The two discussed for a while and finally set the wedding date for 2 months later. During this time, Wang Mingshan had to go to Three River Market to receive a title. After all, Princess Zhao Yu couldn't marry a commoner. It just so happened that Wang Mingshan was the next clan head, so Emperor Zhao gave him the title of Marquis Yuchuan. In the future, this title would naturally be inherited by Wang Mingshan's son. The Wang family's Marquis Yuchuan bloodline also had the Zhao family's bloodline. Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. He had the power to confer a marquis, so a marquis didn't matter. Zhao Jinghua took his leave, and Wang family also began to make preparations. 2 months later, it was time to escort the bride. Wang Mingshan and a group of brothers of the Ming generation brought along the prince's ceremonial and betrothal gifts. They took a 3rd-grade flying warship and headed to Three River Market. Although Zhao Yuchuan was a princess, Zhao family still followed the etiquette of a princess. When the sun was setting in the west, the bridal escort team returned. The scale of the escort team was also relatively large. Zhao Jinghua and Prince Lin Hai were both there, bringing half of the emperor's carriage. The dowry was filled with 2 flying warships, much more extravagant than the Wang family. Wang family had already prepared a wedding banquet, and the guests who came to congratulate them had already arrived. None of the families in Qingli County were missing. The surrendered Jindan of the Netherworld sect and Cruel Sun Palace were all sealed in Shanbei. Wang Daoyuan was in charge of the affairs of Shanbei, so he was their immediate superior. Naturally, they didn't dare to not come. The gifts they gave were naturally good, and none of them were lower than 4th grade. In addition to them, Heangshi family and Linchuan Wu family also sent juniors with higher status to congratulate them. However, the wealth of these 2 families had been exhausted hundreds of years ago. Now that they had just recovered their titles, they didn't have much wealth, so the gifts they gave were relatively ordinary. However, the families of Linhai Prefecture sent a lot of gifts, including Gu Qingfeng who came personally. There was no custom of bowing to heaven and earth. The bride was directly sent to Wang Mingshan's residence, and Wang Mingshan himself came out to entertain the guests. As Wang Mingshan's closest elder, Wang Daoyuan was the one who accompanied him to the wedding. It wasn't until the sun set in the west and the moon rose in the east that the guests gradually dispersed. Wang Mingshan also went to the bridal chamber. Only Gu Qingfeng and Zhong Zhenyang remained in the hall, accompanied by the 12th uncle. After sending the guests away, Wang Daoyuan returned to the hall and asked, "Gu Daoyu, what's the matter?" Gu Qingfeng cupped his hands and said, "To tell you the truth, I came this time to discuss business with the county king. I'm sure the county king knows that Linhai Prefecture has a shortage of crafting materials. A small number of crafting materials also need to be found in the sea. There are many mines in Qingli County. They also do business with the demons and half-demons in Shanbei, so they have no lack of crafting materials. However, the demons in Qingli County are strong, so it's difficult to obtain materials from 4th-grade demons. Linhai Prefecture is close to the sea, so there are many aquatic demons. Even the materials from rank 4 demonic beasts could be obtained. We can use each other's strengths to make up for our weaknesses. As long as the county king is willing, we can have as many inner cores as you want. We can even have golden cores. Moreover, we can also give you a few shops in Linhai Prefecture." Wang Daoyuan and the 12th uncle looked at each other with joy on their faces. 200 years ago, Wang Daoyuan suggested that the family change their strategy of wholeheartedly joining the underworld sect. The first cave was the underworld sect, but now it's the Zhao family. The second cave was the sky-chopping mountain range, which has produced great results and has 2 secret realms. The third cave has been unsettled. Since knowing that the Zhao family was going to cause trouble, the Wang family gave up on the Linhai Prefecture strategy. They didn't expect that this cave would be delivered to them. Although Linhai Prefecture was no longer a backup plan for the family, doing business in Linhai Prefecture was very beneficial for the family. They could sell the family's resources here and also purchase high-value resources unique to the sea. Not to mention other things, just the inner cores and golden cores of demonic beasts were extremely valuable. Doing business was about mutual exchange. The resources in the sea could naturally be sold for a good price in Qingli County. If they were sold to the demons and half-demons in Shanbei, the price would be even higher. Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Our Wang family has long wanted to expand our business in Linhai Prefecture, but we were forced by the situation and couldn't do so. Now that we have such a good opportunity, we naturally won't give it up." Chapter 638. Hearing Wang Daoyuan's words, Gu Qingfeng's face lit up. Qingli County was within the borders of the state of Zhao, and it was the county that produced the most low-grade materials. In the east, there were countless ore veins of various sizes in the periphery of the sky-beheading mountain range. Coupled with the trade with the demons and half-demons in the north of the mountain, the conditions could be said to be unique. If this business was successful, the problem of the lack of refining materials in Linhai could be completely solved. Moreover, the Gu clan and a few other clans were doing this business with the Wang clan in private. When selling to rogue cultivators, they could make a profit without lowering the price. The clans in the cultivation world could only rely on their own resources to make ends meet. If they wanted to make a fortune, they had to rely on rogue cultivators. The two discussed for a long time. Neither side was short of spirit stones, so they did not use spirit stones to trade. Both sides used the barter method. The Linhai County side used the materials of the sea beasts, including the inner cores of the beasts, to exchange for the refining materials here. The Linhai County side gave a discount. The goods in Linhai County were sold according to the market price. The goods in Qingli County were sold at twice the market price. Of course, the clans in Linhai County sold the goods to rogue cultivators at 4 or 5 times the price. This was not something Wang Daoyuan could control. After the two reached an agreement, Gu Qingfeng said goodbye and left. Wang Daoyuan did not need to worry about the remaining details. The finance hall of the county king's mansion would manage it. After Gu Qingfeng left, Wang Daoyuan looked at Zhong Zhenyang and asked, "Marquis Guy, what's the matter?" Zhong Zhenyang smiled and said, "His Majesty has sealed the defected clans in the north of the mountain, but he did not specify a fief. I think it's because he has already handed over the north of the mountain to the county king and doesn't want to overstep his authority. I came to beg the county king on behalf of a few clans." It had to be said that the Zhao emperor was quite good at handling matters. After handing over the north of the mountain to Wang Daoyuan, he did not interfere anymore. He was not like the Netherworld sect, who always wanted to cause trouble. He nodded and asked, "Which spiritual mountain do you have your eyes on?" "Although His Majesty has given me full authority to deal with the north of the mountain. But the north of the mountain is still the world of the demons and half-demons. They don't listen to me. Even those human forces haven't taken the initiative to come and greet me." Zhong Zhenyang said flatteringly, "Those human forces don't come to greet you because they are blind. With your Highness's ability, the northern part of the mountain will be your fief sooner or later. We want a fief with Yin Qi. As long as His Highness agrees, we will take care of the rest ourselves. In the future, if the Duke has any orders, we will go through water and tread on fire without hesitation." Although Zhong Zhenyang's fief was to be placed in Shanbei, they were not considered people of Qingli Commandery. After all, their titles were conferred by Emperor Zhao himself, and Wang Daoyuan was only managing the human forces in the north of the mountain on behalf of Emperor Zhao. Their relationship was only that of superior and subordinate, not that of monarch and subject. Wang Daoyuan's order was no match for the Zhao Emperor's imperial edict. Zhong Zhenyang claimed to be a subject of Qingli County. Later on, he would only listen to Wang Daoyuan and would not listen to Emperor Zhao. Wang Daoyuan was somewhat puzzled. Within 2,000 miles north of Mount Huiyan, there is only one mysterious Yin spring that produces Yin Qi. But the Yin Qi there has already dried up, leaving only baleful aura. Where are you going to find a place with Yin Qi? Zhong Zhenyang smiled. "I have to thank Your Highness for this. Previously, you worked together with the demons to deal with the refined corpses. After that, you also drew the underground water vein to bring out the Yin Qi of the ghost cave. The underground water vein was abundant. After flowing out of the ghost cave, it turned into a river and flowed northwest. Along the way, the river gathered many streams. Now, it is more than 20,000 miles north of Mount Huiyan, flowing out of the sky-beheading mountain range." Wang Daoyuan also knew about this. This kind of change in landscape naturally could not be hidden from others. Rogue cultivators called the river Hell King River. After gathering many streams, the amount of water was almost comparable to a clear stream. Moreover, the spiritual power contained in the river was not low, comparable to that of a third-level water spirit vein. The concentration of Yin Qi was even higher, reaching the third level of the upper level. It was comparable to the dark water river before the Yin Qi disappeared. At present, there were already evil cultivators settling down there. In a few decades, that place would become a gathering place for evil cultivators. Ordinary families would not dare to settle down there. However, Zhong Zhenyang and the rest were evil cultivators. Those wild fox cultivators were nothing in front of them. Wang Daoyuan reminded, "You have to think carefully. That place is more than 20,000 miles away from Mount Huiyan, and there are many demon and half-demon tribes in between. If you are attacked, the commandery will not be able to provide support." Zhong Zhenyang had an indifferent expression. "Don't worry, Your Highness. This old man can still hold on for 100 years. Although the demons are strong, their souls are weak. We cultivators of the walking ghost path are the best at suppressing the demons. In front of me, a fourth-level upper demon is just a piece of cake. 100 years is enough for me to kill all the demons in the surrounding area. As long as the descendants can still produce golden core cultivators, it will not be a problem to protect the foundation with the help of the formation. However, the northern part of the mountain is dangerous. I want to leave a few descendants who cultivate righteous cultivation techniques to work in the commandery prince's manor. In the future, even if the family cannot withstand the demons, it will not end the family line." Since Zhong Zhenyang was insistent, Wang Daoyuan did not object. The Wang family's main focus was on the periphery of the sky/mountain range. They did not need to have any ideas about the northern part of the mountain. However, the family had to grow stronger. They might have to expand to the north in the future. Those who do not plan for the future will not be able to plan for the moment. It was better to plan ahead. Evil cultivators and itinerant cultivators had always been the vanguard of the human race in reclaiming the wilderness. With Zhong Zhenyang and the rest in the northern part of the mountain, the demons would not have to think about causing trouble in the southern part of the mountain. When the Wang family expanded to the northern part of the mountain in the future, there would be less resistance. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Since you are not afraid, I have no objections. It is not a big deal to send people to work in the commandery prince's manor. I will allow it. However, I have to remind you that there is a Yellow Spring secret realm near the Mirror Treasure Lake Oasis. There are many refined corpses there. You have to be careful. Those refined corpses have extremely high intelligence. The leader is an old monster that has been alive for thousands of years. Although you are a first-rate golden core expert and can easily defeat refined corpses, you may not be able to defeat that old monster. Zhong Zhenyang's face darkened. 1,000-year-old monster with intelligence. Could it be a ghost cultivator? Wang Daoyuan nodded. It is a ghost cultivator. When I was killing the refined corpses, he communicated with me through voice transmission. This ghost cultivator can control level 4 refined corpses. These refined corpses are much stronger than those refined by the underworld sect. Zhong Zhenyang thought for a long time before replying, "Thank you for your reminder, Your Highness." However, Your Highness joined forces with the demons to kill the refined corpses. That ghost cultivator only dared to communicate with Your Highness but did not dare to attack. He must have his own concerns. Since he is a ghost cultivator, it is inevitable that he will be struck by lightning. He has lived for thousands of years and his strength has not reached the point where he has nothing to fear. He must have relied on the Yellow Spring secret realm to hide his secrets. This person will not dare to leave the Yellow Spring secret realm. I am confident that he will only send out the refined corpses. Wang Daoyuan nodded. If that is the case, then I will not speak any further. According to convention, a marquis's land cannot exceed 1,000 miles, a count cannot exceed 500 miles, and a viscount cannot exceed 300 miles. You can go to the underworld river and choose a spiritual mountain. Then, report to me. Finally, I want to remind you that under my Qingli County, I can accommodate clans, but I can't accommodate sections. I do not want to be like Emperor Zhao and be stabbed by sections. No matter how strong a clan was, it still needed mortals as its foundation. In the bitter cold north of the mountains, it was not easy to strengthen a clan. However, recruiting heretic cultivators would expand too quickly. Zhong Zhenyang and the others held the inheritance of the underworld sect. Once they reopened at the underworld river, they would recruit heretic cultivators. In less than a few hundred years, there would be another underworld sect. Although sects were not as united as clans, if a group of heretic cultivators who did not have many mortals to worry about wanted to cause trouble, the damage would still be great. Hearing this, Zhong Zhenyang hurriedly cupped his hands. Don't worry, Your Highness. We only want to protect our clan. Chapter 639. As long as Zhong Zhenyang does not accept disciples, Wang Daoyuan is really not afraid of him. Although the Zhong, Gu, and Ming families have thousands of years of history, the people of the sect do not pay much attention to the survival of mortals. The mortals of the three families added together are not much more than the Wang family. They can only bring their own family members when they go to the vassal state. The other disciples of the Netherworld sect stay under Emperor Zhao as ordinary soldiers. Shanbei is bitterly cold, ordinary people can barely survive there. It was simply impossible for them to grow rapidly. After getting Wang Daoyuan's promise, Zhong Zhenyang happily leaves, ready to go to Shanbei to find a suitable fief. Wang Daoyuan returns to his cave and continues to refine the jade essence cultivating pill. 3 years later, he has raised his success rate to 50%. At this level, he can already try to refine a 4th level middle grade pill. The only spirit medicine he had was a gold formation pill. In these 3 years, the Linhai prefecture had traded a lot of demonic beast inner cores, but they had not traded a demonic beast golden core. After all, the strength of a 4th level monster is not weak, it is not easy to kill. The 2 monster cores in his hand are not enough for practice, and now he can't casually refine gold forming pills. The 5 elements spirit fire seed fire in the space of the spirit bead has also grown to the 4th level middle grade, the grade has caught up with Wang Daoyuan's spirit fire. Even the pseudo-spirit fire of the Red Phoenix Nirvana fire has grown into a real spirit fire. The grade is only the second-level middle grade. The growth speed of the space of the spirit bead has also increased significantly. The flow of time has become 43 times faster than the outside world. The area of the spirit field increases even more rapidly. In the outside world a year, the area of the spirit field can increase by 1 mu. Moreover, the speed of increase is gradually faster. Now the entire spirit field area of the spirit bead is close to 50 mu. The new 5 mu of spirit field is planted with purple gold yellow bud millet, purple gold jade essence fruit, and jade essence cultivating pill. The remaining 2 mu are planted with gold forming pills. It has been nearly 5 years since he got the 7-leaf ghost face flower. This guy has lived in the space of the spirit bead for more than 200 years. The 7-leaf ghost-faced flower would produce 7 drops of flower dew every 100 years. Now, it had already produced 14 drops. With these 14 drops of flower dew, he would be able to use his lesser divine ability for a long time when facing enemies in the future. It would greatly increase his battle prowess. With the jade essence cultivating pill, Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan's cultivation speed had also sped up a lot. Now, they were not far from the late stage of gold core. After another 2 or 3 years of cultivation, he should be able to break through to the golden core late stage. From the middle stage of the gold core realm to the late stage of the gold core realm, it took him less than 100 years. This cultivation speed was frightening enough. Even in the ancient times, where divinity transformation cultivators were common, it would take 1 to 200 years for a cultivator with great talent to advance from the core formation stage to the late golden core stage. In these few years, the main direction of the family was Green Willow Continent. Developing such a huge secret realm required a lot of manpower, and the family had been constantly moving people to the Green Willow region. So far, the Green Willow secret area already had over 10,000 ordinary clansmen and over 200 cultivators. Some of these cultivators were talented in the Tao of spirit plants, while others were strong enough to protect the property here. The transformation of the Green Willow region market had also been completed. The original Green Willow region market was surrounded by a 3-square-mile city. The big willow tree was in the center of the city, and the name of the city was Green Willow City. Apart from the Wang family, no one else was allowed to enter Green Willow City. This was mainly to protect the hollow willow and to keep the secret of the Green Willow secret area. In addition, the family had also sent a few pill refiners to live in Green Willow City. The low-grade spirit medicines produced in the secret realm were refined into pills in Green Willow City. The new Green Willow region market was arranged to be outside the city. With the large amount of resources provided by Green Willow region, the number of wandering cultivators in the 100 Rivers Lake had also increased slightly. Now that all the preparations had been completed and the hollow willow had been well protected, it was time to prepare the life spiritual fire's pseudo-spiritual fire to nurture the hollow willow. He came to the earth fire room and put away the pill furnace. Then, a rootless flame of the life spiritual fire condensed in his hand. He separated a fire seed the size of a sesame seed from the life spiritual fire seed fire in the space of the spiritual pearl and merged it into the rootless flame in his hand. Then, he converted all the spirit energy in his body into the life spiritual fire to nurture this sesame seed. He drew out a wisp of the dust returning flame and a wisp of the red sun true fire and threw them into the fire eye. The 2 wisps of flames burned fiercely as soon as they came into contact with the lava. Wang Daoyuan absorbed these flames into his body and then used the 5 spirits immortal transformation art to convert all these flames into the life spiritual fire to nurture the fire seed in his hand. Now that his cultivation was high, nurturing the pseudo-spiritual fire had become extremely simple. In just half a day, the pseudo-spiritual fire had stabilized. He stored the pseudo-spiritual fire in the space of the spiritual pearl and placed it on the peach tree sapling to nurture. The peach tree sapling was now more than 3 feet tall. This height was already about the same as the peach tree he saw in the 100 Spirits True Lord's medicine garden. The only difference was that there were no peach blossoms on this peach tree. The peach tree was now an inferior grade rank 4 spirit plant, but there were still no signs of it blooming. Back when the 100 Spirits True Lord found that mystic realm, Beiyuan Xiuxian had at least a superior grade rank 5 spirit vein. For the medicine garden to be valued by the 100 Spirits True Lord, the concentration of spirit energy was naturally not low. Therefore, the peach tree in the medicine garden had to be at least superior grade rank 5. The 100 Spirits True Lord died and the peach tree was on the verge of death. The last thing Wang Daoyuan saw should be the peach tree's appearance back then. In other words, for this peach tree to bloom, it had to be at least a rank 5 spirit plant. High-grade spirit plants would often only bloom without bearing fruit if the concentration of spirit energy was insufficient. For this peach tree to bear fruit, it might require a concentration of spirit energy comparable to a rank 6 spirit vein. For the space of the spiritual pearl to grow to that extent, who knew how long it would take? The pseudo-spiritual fire landed on a side branch of the peach tree as though it was growing on it. Soon, a large amount of wood attribute spirit energy and vitality surged out from the side branch, nurturing the pseudo-spiritual fire. After resolving the problem of the pseudo-spiritual fire, Wang Daoyuan continued to extract the rootless flames of the dust-returning flame and the scarlet yang true flame from the fire eye for his own cultivation. One could not rely solely on dual cultivation to raise one's cultivation. Although the cultivation speed was quite fast, the pressure on the body was too great. He had not gone out much in the past few years. Although his cultivation had risen quickly, the improvement of his physical strength was slower and his waist was always sore. There was only one zhou yuan and it was already so taxing on his body. He really did not know what those harem masters were thinking. After cultivating for more than 10 days with the help of the spiritual fire, Wang Daoyuan suddenly sensed the existence of the doppelganger devouring spirit. This fellow was sent to the Purple Gold River Valley to rescue the doppelganger Jingping and investigate the situation of the Valley of Beasts branch. Now that he was back, could it be that he had broken the array formation and obtained something good? Immediately, he sensed the doppelganger devouring spirit and checked his memories. The doppelganger devouring spirit's minor divine ability was extremely powerful. Most of the array formations in the Valley of Beasts branch could not trap him. Jingping was only at the periphery of the array formation, so it was naturally not difficult for him and he was rescued quickly. Jingping had already turned into a refined corpse. Although Wang Daoyuan's split soul was there, he could only maintain his intelligence. It was impossible for him to use his array formation attainments back then. The doppelganger devouring spirit did not understand array formations and was helpless against the array formation at the core. However, he had also obtained many good things in the array formation at the periphery. There were 5 or 6 grade 4 universe rings that contained dermic weapons, spirit talismans, elixirs, and so on. Unfortunately, as time passed, the elixirs, spirit talismans, and so on were completely useless. Those dermic weapons had extremely complicated patterns and Wang Daoyuan could only barely understand them. They were definitely not grade 4 patterns. They should be dermic weapons above grade 4 that had fallen to grade 4 due to the lack of nourishment from spirit chi. Some of the dermic weapons and refining materials were even very close to grade 5. If the periphery was already like this, then there was a high chance that grade 5 spirit items would appear at the core of the array formation. Chapter 640. Wang Daoyuan finished peeking into devouring soul's memories and put away the rootless fire in his eyes. He got up and walked to the backyard. Zhou Yuan had already finished her cultivation and was lying on the chair eating spirit fruits. Wang Daoyuan took out 50 kilograms of soul-chasing bee honey, as well as some spirit fruits and spirit wine. Zhou Yuan was stunned and asked, "You're going on a long journey again? With your cultivation, it won't take you long to go anywhere. Why did you prepare so many things for me?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "It's a long story. The place I'm going to isn't far, just 30,000 kilometers away. You can contact me with a communication jade talisman, but it'll take more time. If it's a long story, then tell it slowly. You're suddenly so serious. This matter is definitely not simple. If your life is in danger, I'll go with you." Wang Daoyuan could only explain slowly, "This matter is related to the 10,000 corpses spiritual master. With Blood Shadow's information, you should know about his situation, right? Zhou Wan nodded. I know. A few thousand years ago, a golden core expert appeared out of thin air in the northern part of the mountain. He created his own 10,000 corpses formation and can even fight against cultivators of the same level. Even the sect masters of the 4 top forces were not his match. This person killed innocent people indiscriminately. In the end, the 4 top forces joined forces with the experts of the surrounding countries and seriously injured him. Later, there was no trace of him. That's about it. After being seriously injured, this guy escaped to a secret realm. 200 years ago, your subordinate Yu Lang and a guy from Qiyun went to explore that secret realm and obtained the inheritance of the 10,000 corpses spiritual master. I obtained the inheritance of the 10,000 corpses spiritual master from them and learned that this person was not from Beiyuan Shushan, but from the Qixing Si Shushan community. The 10,000 corpses spiritual master's corpse controlling method is the inheritance of the strongest force in the Qixing Si Shushan community. Zhou Wan interrupted, your method of controlling puppets seems to be quite brilliant. Did you also come from here? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, Lord Hall Master is indeed smart. My method of controlling puppets is the same as myriad corpse Daoists' method of controlling corpses. However, this inheritance was severely damaged, so it was very risky to control living people. Moreover, there was a limit to the number of people he could control, which was why the 10,000 corpse Daoist had chosen the path of corpse control. When he came to Beiyuan Shushan, he bumped into the Mirage Fog Sea. From the east of the sky/mountain range to the north of the mountain, they did not take the 10,000 rivers valley. So I sent out a puppet to investigate that path. There was a wide valley of beasts on the other side, and there was a branch hall left behind in the valley of beasts. This branch hall wasn't completely destroyed. There was still a formation in place. I sent the devouring spirit to investigate and found some tier 4 magic tools and materials. It should be a tier 4 or above magic tool from the past that lacked spirit energy. The formation of the branch in the Valley of Beasts was not completely destroyed. The devouring spirits did not know the formation, so they did not dare to rashly enter. I want to check it out first and see if I can find a tier 5 spirit item. Zhou Wan frowned and said, the Valley of Beasts was one of the top 5 forces in the past. Its branch hall is definitely not simple. If you explore there, your life will inevitably be in danger. I want to accompany you. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly persuaded, Lord Hall Master, don't worry. That branch hall was once besieged by demonic beasts, and the formation was severely damaged. Tens of thousands of years have passed. At most, it will only have the power of a high-grade tier 4 formation. I'm not a hothead. I won't crash my head into it. With the devouring spirit here, it will naturally take the lead. I only need to find the formation's flaws. Don't worry, I have many methods. I won't be trapped. Don't forget about the dust returning flame. A broken formation can't stop the dust returning flame. If I'm really trapped, I'll release the dust returning flame and burn the entire mountain to ashes. No matter what formation he has, it will be useless. You don't know the Tao of formations, so you won't be able to help even if you go. When I leave, help me look after Jade Spring Peak. The dust returning flame wasn't very effective against a complete defensive formation. However, the formation of the Valley of Beasts branch hall had been severely damaged and hadn't been maintained for tens of thousands of years. There were definitely flaws. A formation with flaws couldn't stop the corrosion of the dust returning flame. Zhou Wan nodded in relief, I cannot go with you, but you have to tell me the route. If you don't come back in 10 years, I'll go find you. Wang Daoyuan could only agree. He took out a jade slip, recorded the route, and handed it to Zhou Wan. Then, he left the underground cave and sent a voice transmission to his third brother, telling him that he would be leaving the clan for a period of time. If someone came to find him, he would say that he was in seclusion. Putting on the black demon robe, he used the concealment devil art and headed towards the sky/mountain range. Soon, he arrived at the place where the devouring spirit was hiding. The devouring spirit gave him several universe rings. Wang Daoyuan checked them one by one. Whether it was the materials used or the refining method, these universe rings were much better than the 100 Spirits ring of the 100 Spirits true monarch. Back then, it was at least a 6th grade magic tool. Unfortunately, it was only a 4th grade high-grade magic tool. He took out a broken shield from the ring. He didn't recognize the material of this shield. In terms of strength, it was far above 4th grade mid-grade Tai gold. He took out a few more magic tools. They were all made of materials that he didn't recognize, and the tool patterns were also extremely complicated. With his current strength, he couldn't refine such magic tools at all. He put these things into the space of the spirit pearl and followed the devouring spirit to the underground cave. After more than 4 hours, he arrived at the foot of the sky/mountain range's main mountain range. Wang Daoyuan used the flying sand escape and entered the underground cave. The devouring spirit's minor divine ability involved the law of space. Unless the rock layer was a piece of iron, it couldn't stop him. With the devouring spirit's memories, Wang Daoyuan didn't find it difficult to walk through the cave. It only took half a month to reach the exit of the cave. At this time, it was morning, and the clouds were relatively thin. Wang Daoyuan's spiritual consciousness could detect the situation more than 10 miles away. The two flew downstream along the stream and soon reached the upper reaches of the main stream of the Purple Gold River. Wang Daoyuan flew high into the sky and looked into the distance. Everywhere he looked, it was foggy. However, he could still see the Purple Gold River meandering eastward like a long dragon. On both sides of the river valley, there were mountains that reached into the 9 heavens astral wind layer. The further east they went, the wider the river valley became. The river valley was mainly plains. It was indeed a good place to build a foundation. After looking around, Wang Daoyuan and the devouring spirit clone headed northeast. After more than 2 hours, they arrived at the Purple Gold River branch. After entering the stone archway, Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to fly into the sky. He followed the winding stone road in the mountains and went up. After walking for 20 to 30 miles, they entered the palace complex. The clone Zhengping was guarding here. He was now just a refined corpse with intelligence. Besides being used to explore the way, he didn't have much use. Wang Daoyuan spread out his spiritual consciousness and explored the surrounding situation. The layout of this palace complex was relatively common. The core area was a bit similar to the courtyard house in his previous life. However, there were 7 courtyards in this palace complex. Around the courtyard, there were many smaller palaces. However, without the protection of formations, most of them had already become ruins. Every courtyard he entered was littered with broken bones and rusty remnants of magical artifacts. These might have been 5th or 6th rank beasts, Yuanying, or even semi-god realm cultivators when they were alive. Wang Daoyuan touched some bones, and these bones instantly turned into ashes. Those Dharma artifact fragments were also shattered. 50,000 years was enough to shatter everything. No matter how glorious they were when they were alive, they were now like this. Some of the palaces around the courtyard were protected by formations. Wang Daoyuan didn't stay in these places. The devouring spirit had already explored these palaces before. These palaces themselves didn't have many good things. Those that were still intact had been taken away by the devouring spirit. At this moment, those things were in the space of the spirit pearl. Following the devouring spirit's memories, Wang Daoyuan walked towards the deepest part of the palace complex. The deeper he went, the more palaces there were that were still protected by incomplete formations. Soon, he arrived at the entrance of the 7th courtyard. The formation here looked very complete, and the aura emitted by the formation was also extremely powerful. Among the formations that Wang Daoyuan had seen, it was second only to the Treasure Cauldron Mountain's protective formation. Previously, the devouring spirit had only explored the first 6 courtyards and didn't dare to directly enter the 7th courtyard. Chapter 641. In this 7th courtyard, the south side was a double tower, the east and west sides were palaces more than 50 feet high, and the north side was the main hall of the entire palace complex. The size of this main hall was not very big, about the same as the palaces on both sides. The fog of the entire Zijin River Valley was sprayed out from this main hall. The fog here was far thicker than outside. The spiritual power contained in the fog had also reached the level of a high-grade 4th-rank spiritual vein. With Wang Daoyuan's vision, outside the branch hall, he could clearly see the situation 10 miles away, and his divine sense could also explore about 10 miles. But before this 7th courtyard, he could only see the situation within 100 feet, and his divine sense could not explore more than 100 feet. He could only see a few vague shadows of the main halls. The situation inside could not be seen clearly at all. Around the courtyard, there were more than 10 smaller palaces, pavilions and other buildings, all of which had obvious traces of destruction. Inside the courtyard, the buildings were very intact. Obviously, this courtyard should have never been breached. In this way, there must be a lot of good things in the courtyard. But there were advantages and disadvantages, and it was much more difficult to enter the courtyard. The array inheritance left by the 5 elements spiritual master was only a high-grade 4th rank. He had also mentioned some of the legendary advanced array formations. But after all, he was a rogue cultivator, and the number of high-grade arrays he came into contact with would not be too many. Since the array of this main hall had not been destroyed, it must have been a 5th rank or even higher array back then. Even if it had not been repaired for a long time, there were flaws. With Wang Daoyuan's array attainments, he could not rely on the array to break it. If he wanted to enter, he had to rely on brute force. It was completely impossible to succeed by digging a hole from the ground. As long as it was a force of some scale, the defensive array would be guarded against underground. Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of Gui water death flame, and the surrounding thick fog was instantly ignited. After the thick fog was burned, in addition to the water spiritual power assimilated by the Gui water death flame, there was also some power of law. The power that suppressed divine sense exploration in the thick fog came from this power of law. Moreover, the strength of this power of law far exceeded Wang Daoyuan's understanding. He used a small divine ability to test the power of law, but it was instantly broken by the power of law in the clouds. His master, Lei Yanjunren, was a half-step Yuanian cultivator. In terms of laws, he was very close to a true Yuanian cultivator. However, as a half-step Yuanian's nomological power, he could only suppress the power of the lesser mystical powers. He could not directly break them. The power of laws here could absolutely reach rank 5 standard. He was confident that he could break through a high-grade tier 4 array formation. However, a 5th-grade array formation could deal with Yuanian cultivators. If a golden core cultivator went in, they would be casually played to death. However, on second thought, Beiyuan Xiuxian no longer had a level 5 spirit vein, so the power of laws couldn't be natural. For this array to be able to last for tens of thousands of years, the source of spiritual energy must be the spirit vein. It was impossible for a rank 4 spirit vein to maintain a rank 5 spirit array for a long time. He could use a tier 4 array formation to release the power of law that only tier 5 array formations could. This reminded Wang Daoyuan of something in the past. When he was still a foundation establishment cultivator, he went to Wucheng Pass to defend against the Song Kingdom's invasion. The Dongsan fortress that he defended used a high-grade tier 2 gold demon soul severing array to modify the array core and control a low-grade tier 3 Dharma artifact to release the offensive power of a tier 3 array formation. Although the grade of the array formation was different, the basic principle was the same. The array formation in front of him was built on a high-grade tier 4 spirit vein, but it could release the power of law that even a tier 5 array formation might not have. It was very likely that the array core had been modified and a tier 5 or even higher grade spiritual item was placed in the array core to hold the line. In this way, a high grade tier 4 array formation could release the power of a tier 5 array formation. With a tier 5 spiritual item in front of him, it would be a waste if he did not try. Wang Daoyuan could try to go to the Qixing Si Xiuxian community in the future. Even if he did not have a tier 5 spiritual item, it would not have a big impact on his future path. However, his master did not have much lifespan left. Even if he could live for 1,000 years, he still had about 20 years left. The road to the Qixing Si Shuxian community was extremely dangerous, and the records of the myriad corpse Daoist master in the vast sea experience book were not detailed. It seemed that he had experienced a lot of hardships before he was lucky enough to come to Beiyuan Shuxian. Otherwise, Beiyuan Shuxian would not have no records of the Qixing Si Shuxian community. Once a golden core cultivator above 800 years old was injured, it would not be easy to recover. There were many aquatic demon beasts along the way, and injuries were inevitable. His master was about 980 years old, so it was impossible for him to go to the Qixing Si Shuxian community. During the process of his growth, his master had put in a lot of effort and had treated him and his younger brother well. Wang Daoyuan could not bear to watch his master pass away like this. Now that the opportunity was in front of him, he would not be satisfied if he did not try it. Moreover, if there were more fifth-grade spiritual objects here, he could also break through to the Yuanying realm in Beiyuan Shuxian. When going out to sea, the higher the cultivation, the higher the safety. The interference of the surrounding clouds and mist was too great, and there was no way to find the array's flaws. He activated the Gui water death flame, wanting to burn all the clouds and mist. However, the power of law was too strong and had an obvious suppressive effect on the Gui water death flame. The flame could only cover a radius of 10 feet around him. He summoned the dust returning flame, wanting to see if it could burn the rocks on the ground. However, as soon as the dust returning flame came out, it was extinguished. He had underestimated the array here. The Gui water death flame could burn these clouds and mist to replenish his spiritual power. It could burn on its own. He also summoned the vermilion bird fan and used his natal magic artifact to control the flame, which consumed very little divine sense power. With the support of the vermilion bird fire controlling technique, the flame could already cover a radius of 300 feet. Under the suppression of the power of law, the flame would be extinguished if it exceeded the range of 300 feet. However, this range was not enough to cover the entire 7th courtyard. He was not in a hurry. Since the Gui water death flame was not strong enough, then let it become stronger. Anyway, there was no danger outside this array, so he might as well cultivate here. The rank of the spiritual fire had always been slightly higher than Wang Daoyuan's cultivation. The 5 spiritual fires were on the verge of advancing to 4th grade high grade. The water spiritual power in the clouds and mist here was abundant and contained high-level laws. It was of great help to the advancement of the Gui water death flame, so he might as well let the Gui water death flame advance here. Moreover, the power of law here was also of great benefit to Wang Daoyuan's own law comprehension. To be able to be in close contact with the power of law above 5th grade, there were not many places with such good conditions in the entire Beiyuan Shuxian. He planned to improve his cultivation here. His cultivation was promoted to late-stage Jindan, and the Gui water death flame was also promoted to 4th grade high grade, so that he could solve more clouds and mist. The doppelganger devouring spirit explored the surroundings to see if there were any other spiritual objects. The doppelganger Xingping was of no use. Wang Daoyuan gave him a jade talisman and let him go to the karst cave when he came, so that he could maintain contact with Zhou Wan. The clouds and mist here were too powerful. It could block messages. He wanted to send a message to Zhou Wan to report his safety, but he could not do it. However, the clouds and mist had no effect on the connection between the doppelganger and the main soul. Within a range of 300 feet, the Gui water death flame was constantly burning the clouds and mist, transforming them into its own spiritual fire essence. Wang Daoyuan was also constantly extracting the essence of the flames for his own cultivation. He could not only increase the rank of the Gui water death flame, so as to avoid the imbalance of the 5 elements. Using the 5 spirits immortal transformation technique, he transformed the extracted spiritual fire essence into spiritual power of other attributes. These spiritual powers, after being refined by the spiritual fire, could also increase the power of the spiritual fire. 3 years later, Wang Daoyuan sat cross-legged more than 10 miles south of the 7th courtyard. The spiritual power fluctuations on his body were constantly increasing. The black flames around him were also constantly surging into his body. After a month's time, Wang Daoyuan's body was emitting the light of 5 spiritual fires. Soon, the light disappeared, and his spiritual power fluctuations stabilized at late-stage Jindan. The 5 elements spiritual fire had upgraded earlier than him. Now, it had become a 4th-grade high-grade spiritual fire. Wang Daoyuan tried it. Now, with the help of the Suzaku fan, the Gue water death flame could burn within a radius of 3,000 feet. 3,000 feet was a little more than 6 miles. It was enough to cover the entire 7th courtyard. Chapter 642. Sharpening the axe would not delay the work of chopping firewood. Wang Daoyuan also took the opportunity to improve the vessel pattern of his natal Dharma artifact. Moreover, it was hard to say what was inside after the formation was broken. When the artifact was upgraded to the upper grade of the 4th tier, it would more or less increase its strength. With the nourishment of the spirit fire, the spiritual power contained in the artifact, as well as the strength of the material, had already reached the upper grade of the 4th tier. However, the artifact pattern was still at the middle grade of the 4th tier and could not be considered an upper grade artifact. In the case where the artifact pattern was complete, it did not take much effort. In just half a month, he had upgraded all 5 artifacts to the upper grade of the 4th tier. The vermilion bird fan flew to the center of the defensive formation with a wisp of Gue water death flame. A vermilion bird phantom appeared out of thin air and led the black flames to burn outside the defensive formation. The defensive light shield's radius was only about 500 feet and was completely covered by the flames. The black flames formed a fire shield outside the defensive light shield. Soon, the clouds outside the defensive light shield were all burned. The clouds inside the defensive light shield were protected by the formation and the Gue water death flame could not penetrate it. The main hall was still spewing clouds outside, but the clouds were quickly burned to ashes. Wang Daoyuan took out an array measuring disc and looked for flaws in the formation. The array measuring disc was completely black and there was a faint black fog lingering outside. It did not look like a righteous artifact at first glance. However, its grade was not low. It was a middle grade of the 4th tier. He had obtained it from Zhongzhenyang. Zhongzhenyang had bribed him previously and there were several 4th tier artifacts in his universe ring. This array measuring disc was one of them and was called the Ghost Compass. It was unknown what material was used to refine it, but it contained dense yin qi. In addition to the detection formation, it also had some offensive and defensive functions. If he raised ghosts in it, it could increase the detection formation's ability and offensive and defensive capabilities. However, Wang Daoyuan did not need to raise ghosts to increase his strength. Even if this ghost compass did not have ghosts, its detection formation's ability was not weak. No matter how strong the defensive formation in front of him was in the past, it was at most an upper grade of the 4th tier. Using a lower grade of the 4th tier compass, he could find its flaws. The ghost compass was a mid-grade tier 4, so it wasn't difficult at all. Wang Daoyuan activated the ghost compass, causing it to spin rapidly. 9 streams of black qi flew out from the compass and circled around the defensive light barrier, searching everywhere. An hour later, the 9 streaks of black gas had scanned the entire defensive light barrier. Dark smoke surged out from the ghost compass, forming a 5-foot-long light shield above it, which was exactly the same as the defensive light shield of the 7th courtyard. Furthermore, there were streams of air flowing around the illusory figure. This should be the flow of spiritual energy on the defensive light barrier. From this, he could see the weakness of the defensive light barrier. If one's attainments and formations were not low, one could even deduce the location of the eye of the formation and its operating conditions. Then, he used the array dispelling method to stop the array formation from operating. The formation eye and the connecting formation runes would be intact, and the formation array could be activated again. Of course, this was only useful against formations that were not controlled by anyone. If someone was controlling the array, they would be able to change the flow of the array's spiritual energy and the operation of the array's eyes, making it much more difficult to find the flaws. The ghost compass was so brilliant that it definitely wasn't an inheritance of the Netherworld sect. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been unable to take down the Jade Spring Peak if they had taken out this thing back then. It was most likely that the disciples of the Netherworld sect had some fortuitous encounter when they were traveling outside. This ghost compass also looked very simple and unadorned. It should be quite a few years old. With Wang Daoyuan's ability as a lower-grade tier 4 formation master, it wasn't difficult to find the weakness of the defensive light barrier. However, it was a bit difficult to deduce the location of the eye of the formation and its operating conditions. It was completely impossible to solve the formation. Solving a formation was harder than setting one up. With his current ability, he could only solve formations below the 4th tier. Moreover, this formation used to be at least a 5th tier formation, so the difficulty of solving it should also be at the level of a 5th tier formation. It took him 5 days to study the defensive light barrier's illusory figure. Wang Daoyuan had basically locked onto the trajectory of the defensive light barrier's weak points. With his strength, he could only hit the weak points and break the defensive light barrier easily. He took out the white tiger blade and used the sword shadow divine light technique. 10 sword shadows appeared. For the safety of his little life, Wang Daoyuan retreated more than 5 kilometers before controlling the white tiger blade to attack the formation's weak points with the 10 sword shadows. The current sword shadows had 30% of the white tiger blade's power. The white tiger blade and the sword shadows could display 4 times the power of Wang Daoyuan's full-strength attack. Soon, 11 identical white tiger blades slashed at the same place on the defensive light barrier. With a crisp crack, the defensive light barrier with a diameter of 500 meters was shattered. The mist in the courtyard surged out again, but it was quickly burned away by the Gui water death flame. However, the mist was still surging out of the main hall. The formation that was surging out of the mist was not the same as the defensive formation. The spiritual power in the mist was only of the water attribute, while the defensive light barrier had no attribute. To be able to set up 2 sets of great formations in the same place. The level of the person who set up the formation was not something that Wang Daoyuan could compare to. This kind of pathfinding work was better left to the soul-chasing bees. He released more than 100 second-rank mid-grade soul-chasing bees and let them enter the courtyard to investigate. As a result, these soul-chasing bees did not dare to enter and just wandered outside the courtyard. The cannon fodder did not dare to enter, and Wang Daoyuan did not dare to enter even more. He controlled the vermilion bird phantom and poured into the courtyard with the Gui water death flame, burning the mist to nothing. As a result, these soul-chasing bees still did not dare to enter. Wang Daoyuan learned through the Bee King that these soul-chasing bees sensed an extremely powerful aura in the main hall. These soul-chasing bees instinctively felt afraid and did not dare to enter. The core inheritance of the Valley of Beasts was beast taming. It was not surprising that there were demon beasts with divine beast bloodlines inside. These soul-chasing bees were not intelligent enough and could not fully express their meaning. Wang Daoyuan could only let his doppelganger devouring spirit explore the way and open his panoramic perception. As soon as the devouring spirit walked into the courtyard, Wang Daoyuan felt a sense of fear. This fear came from the devouring spirit's instinct. The devouring spirit was a demon, not a creature of this world. What he was afraid of was the heavenly might and the divine beast. There was no lightning or anything like that in here. There was most likely a divine beast. He used the black tortoise bright armor and put an armor on the devouring spirit's body. He also took out the black tortoise shield and blocked in front of him. Then, he controlled the devouring spirit to continue walking into the main hall. The devouring spirit pushed open the door of the hall. There were still clouds and mist in the hall. Even the Gui water death flame could not completely burn it. It just became thinner. The suppression of divine sense was still very strong, but it could not block the line of sight. Through the clouds and mist, he saw a dragon-shaped object more than 100 feet long, coiled in the hall. However, this dragon-shaped object was motionless. This place had been abandoned for tens of thousands of years. Even a 6th-level demon beast could not live until now. This guy in front of him should not be a living thing. Wang Daoyuan was relieved. He controlled the devouring spirit and walked closer to take a closer look. He saw that this dragon-shaped object was completely dried up, without any vitality. The devouring spirit also did not feel the presence of a soul. It should be completely dead. This dried corpse basically maintained the appearance of a dragon. The dragon head was no different from a true dragon. It had 2 forked horns and a beard under its chin. From the back of its neck to its back, there was a fiery red mane, and its scales were earthy yellow. It had 4 claws, and each claw had 3 fingers. Just looking at this guy was a flood dragon with a relatively pure bloodline. However, seeing the lower half of its body, it was obviously different. The scales on the lower half of this guy's body were all upside down. Dragons with purer bloodlines would have an inverted scale on their throats, but the rest of their scales were normal. Legend had it that there was only one dragon species with inverted scales on its upper half, and that was the sea serpent. This guy was still spitting out clouds and mist. The clouds and mist outside should have come from here. The spiritual energy in this cloud and mist was extremely rich, very close to low-grade rank 5. On the sea serpent's dried corpse, there were also fluctuations of spiritual energy and the power of laws. When this sea serpent was alive, it was at least a rank 5 spirit beast. Chapter 643. The sea serpent had the attributes of earth, fire, and water. However, its divine ability was to swallow clouds and spit out mist, so it should be mainly of the water attribute. Legend had it that the clouds spat out by the sea serpent could transform into all sorts of scenes. Fata Morgana originated from this. If someone controlled the array formation, the clouds could completely form an illusion array. Wang Daoyuan seemed to understand why the demon beasts that attacked the branch back then did not succeed. With the sea serpent's corpse, an illusion array was set up and controlled by cultivators. Those demon beasts with weak spirit senses were unable to resist at all. Logically speaking, someone should have controlled this place back then. However, there were no human corpses in this hall. He did not know if the human cultivator controlling the array formation had escaped later or if there was another reason. The sea serpent's corpse was also extremely valuable. Even though it had already decayed after tens of thousands of years, it was not suitable for refining artifacts. However, since it could make the soul-chasing bees and devouring spirits feel fear, its dragon might should still be there. If it was buried near the spirit vein in the spirit pearl space, it might be able to obtain more dragon aura. The array formation that spat out smoke used the sea serpent's corpse as the core. It guided the spiritual energy in the spirit vein into the sea serpent's body and transformed it into clouds that filled the sky. If he acted rashly, he might trigger other array formations and restrictions. He did not want to be trapped here for decades like his clone Jingping. It was better to search for other things first. When he was about to leave, it was better to touch the dragon corpse. As the core building of the entire Valley of Beasts branch, this hall could not be so simple. There must be something like a treasure vault. His clone, devouring spirits, used a small divine ability and condensed a black skeleton that probed the surroundings. His small divine ability contained spatial laws and was perfect for finding secret doors and secret passages. Soon, the black skeleton discovered that there seemed to be a secret door underground on the east side of the hall. After searching the vicinity, it found a mechanism to control the secret door. However, to open the secret door, it required the token of a disciple of the Valley of Beasts. The Valley of Beasts had been destroyed for tens of thousands of years. Even if 1 or 2 tokens could be found, it would have been useless. Since he could not use force, he could only use force. In any case, tens of thousands of years had passed and the power of array formations and restrictions had greatly decreased. It did not matter if he used force. His main body was further away. Even if he triggered some incredible restriction, he wouldn't put himself in danger. If he gave up now, then all his hard work over the past few years would have been for nothing. Riches and honor were found in the midst of danger. If he gambled with the life of his clone, it wouldn't be a big deal even if he failed. He drew out a wisp of returning dust flame. Now that the clouds had been suppressed by the Gui water death flame, the returning dust flame would not directly extinguish. The vermilion bird fan condensed another vermilion bird phantom and flew into the hall with the dust returning flame. The defensive formation had already been broken. No matter how powerful the door was, it would not be able to withstand the returning dust flame. The moment the earthy yellow flame touched the ground above the hidden door, it began to burn. There was a stone slab above the secret door. The stone slab seemed to have been refined into a magic weapon. With the protection of the tool pattern, the burning speed of the dust-returning flame was very slow. It took 3 whole days to burn the slate to ashes. The hidden door beneath the stone slab was even more impressive. Even now, it was still an upper-grade Tier 4 magic artifact. The materials used were also very special. The dust-returning flame took half a month to burn open the secret door. Below it was a huge hole with a diameter of more than 10 feet. The devouring spirit condensed a black skull and flew into the cave. In just half a breath, the skull was annihilated by a force. The devouring spirit also did not sense what was below. Wang Daoyuan controlled the returning dust flame and the Gui water death flame and directly poured them into the cave. Who cares what tricks it has, it can withstand the burning of the flames first. Soon, a gust of cold wind blew out of the cave and the flames rolled out. This cold wind seemed to carry corpse chi and death chi. This was something that only refined corpses had. There was most likely a refined corpse below. The thing below did not make him wait long. Soon, a dark golden-skinned person came out of the cave. This guy did not have any vitality on his body and did not carry a trace of law fluctuations. His face was haggard and his eyes were already dry. It was impossible for him to be a living person. The yin qi on this person was extremely dense and also emitted very thin corpse qi and death qi. Could it be another refined corpse? Wang Daoyuan did not know much about refined corpses. He had never heard of a dark golden-skinned refined corpse. In the records of the 10,000 corpse spiritual master, there were many refined corpses mentioned, but there was no mention of dark golden-skinned corpses. Without waiting for Wang Daoyuan to do anything, the guy who came out of the cave asked in a hoarse voice, "Which thief dares to trespass into my Valley of Beasts branch?" Wang Daoyuan was stunned. This person considered himself a disciple of the Valley of Beasts. Could it be that he was the descendant of the remaining disciples of the Valley of Beasts? Wang Daoyuan controlled the devouring spirit clone and asked, "The Valley of Beasts has not appeared in the world for 50,000 years. Who are you, and why are you here?" The person murmured, 50,000 years? I've been guarding this place for 50,000 years. Why hasn't the sect master come to rescue me? Then, his voice became sinister. The Valley of Beasts branch hall master Long Yintian is here. You dare to destroy the branch hall's array. You're courting death. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little scared. This was not the descendant of the remaining disciples of the Valley of Beasts, but the group of people from back then. Even if the hall master of the Valley of Beasts branch hall had not reached the soul formation stage, he was still one of the best in the Yuanying. People from 50,000 years ago would not be able to live until now. This person also did not have the aura of a spirit. He could really be a refined corpse. After a person died, their body would turn into a refined corpse. Their spirit would leave the body and enter the cycle of reincarnation. The spirit and the body would become one, allowing the body to move. However, refined corpses usually did not have the memories of their lives. A few refined corpses with memories would have incomplete memories. Moreover, refined corpses had very low intelligence. 4th grade refined corpses did not have the ability to communicate with people. They were even worse than 1st grade demonic beasts. However, this guy's intelligence was comparable to an ordinary person. Long Yunshan's yin qi surged as he attacked the devouring spirit clone. This guy did not seem to know how to cast spells. He only had dense yin qi on his hands and relied on his speed and physical strength to attack. The devouring spirit clone's small divine ability involved the law of space. Naturally, it would not be hit by such a simple attack. He dodged the attack and used the devil race's secret hiding technique to hide his body. Wang Daoyuan also put on the black devil robe and used the hidden devil art to hide. Long Yunshan lost his target and shouted, "Coward, come out quickly." This time, Wang Daoyuan confirmed that he was indeed a refined corpse. Although his intelligence was quite high, his spiritual sense was too weak. The yin-qi fluctuations on his body were comparable to a half-step Yuanian cultivator, but he could not find any traces of the devouring spirit. After Long Yunshan roared a few times, he locked onto the vermilion bird fan. Wang Daoyuan naturally would not watch his natal magic artifact be destroyed. He controlled the vermilion bird fan and flew south. He originally wanted to use the vermilion bird fan to lure Long Yunshan away and let the devouring spirit go down to the cave to search for treasures. He did not expect Long Yunshan to be so smart. He did not leave the hall. Wang Daoyuan was not unable to contend against a refined corpse that was comparable to a half-step Yuanian cultivator. After he broke through to the late golden core stage, his strength had reached the level of a first-rate golden core. Even if he faced a real half-step Yuanian cultivator, he could still hold his own. No matter how strong a refined corpse was, it was impossible for it to cultivate the power of law. Cultivators could be said to follow the heavens. Comprehending the law depended on being recognized by the great Tao. Refined corpses were born to defy the heavens. They were not recognized by the great Tao, so they naturally could not cultivate the power of law. A half-step Yuanian cultivator without the power of law was much easier to deal with. He could use the method he used to deal with the metal elite zombie back then. Wang Daoyuan summoned the red-winged crow and instantly used his small divine ability. Long Yintian looked at the red-winged crow and said, "Your beast-taming technique is an inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Are you also a disciple of the Valley of Beasts?" It seemed that this fellow could still be reasonable. Then he could have a good talk. Perhaps he could cheat a 5th-grade spirit item without fighting. Chapter 644. Wang Daoyuan didn't answer. Instead, he executed the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique and condensed the Golden Rock image. Long Yintian looked at the Golden Rock image and quickly said, "This is the inheritance of the previous sect master, God Monarch Golden Rock. Are you the successor of God Monarch Golden Rock?" Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "I only obtained some incomplete inheritance of the Valley of Beasts by chance. The Valley of Beasts hasn't appeared for tens of thousands of years. I don't dare to call myself a disciple of the Valley of Beasts." Long Yintian nodded and questioned, "Then why are you here?" "The Purple Gold River branch has never appeared in the outside world. The Purple Gold River Valley is surrounded by the heaven/mountain range on 3 sides. The east side is the Mirage Fog Sea, which makes it difficult for outsiders to enter. There isn't any inheritance of God Monarch Golden Rock here. You are definitely not from the Purple Gold River Valley. How did you know about this place? How did you come in?" Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. This guy's reaction was quite fast. His intelligence was really high. However, he couldn't just tell lies. He had to tell half the truth to deceive people. He smiled and said, "I came from the sea near the mouth of the river. I found a cave residence of a predecessor there. He once entered the Mirage Fog Sea by mistake and came to the Purple Gold River. He finally escaped. I encountered a bottleneck in my cultivation and wanted to come here to try my luck." Long Yintian chuckled and said, "I see." Before he finished his sentence, he disappeared instantly. A few footsteps could be heard. He actually ran out of the main hall and attacked Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan quickly executed the cloud mist escape and dodged the attack. He quickly asked, "Senior, why did you suddenly attack?" Long Yintian sneered and said, "The Mirage Fog Sea is extremely dangerous. Even the disciples of the Valley of Beasts don't dare to say that they can walk out easily. You can come and go as you wish in the Mirage Fog Sea. You even dare to enter the Mirage Fog Sea? I might have turned into a refined corpse, but my intelligence is still there. How can I be deceived by a junior like you?" After he finished speaking, he waved his right hand. 5 streaks of black gas flew towards Wang Daoyuan like sword radiance. Although this black gas did not contain the power of laws, it was extremely fast, far surpassing ordinary sword beams. Even with Wang Daoyuan's escape technique, he could not easily avoid it. He had no choice but to control the illusory figure of the golden rock and release the feather blades to block the attack. Wang Daoyuan hadn't comprehended the golden rock's charm, so the power of the feather blades wasn't that great. It took a total of 500 feather blades to completely disperse the black gas. This fellow's strength was formidable. In a head-on clash, Wang Daoyuan was absolutely not his match. However, the limitations of refining corpses were too great. Their spiritual sense was too weak, and their methods were relatively simple. As long as they didn't fight him head-on, there was nothing he could do. He put on the black demon robe and used the demon concealment art to hide his body and put away the golden rock. He only left the scarlet-feathered crow and the vermilion bird fan outside and used the scarlet-feathered crow's scarlet-golden flames to slowly exhaust him. Long Yintian's attack missed and he wanted to continue attacking, but he suddenly realized that his opponent was gone. Only the scarlet-feathered crow and the vermilion bird fan were left. He waved his hands again and shot out 10 streaks of black chi towards the two. The scarlet-feathered crow flapped its wings and moved a little distance, easily dodging it. Needless to say, the vermilion bird fan's flying speed was comparable to that of a flying sword. It also dodged in an instant. Long Yintian's spiritual sense was extremely weak and was not enough to control the attack. He could only shoot out streaks of black chi again. The scarlet-feathered crow spat out a few balls of golden flames. The vermilion bird phantom that previously controlled the dust-returning flame flew out and controlled the golden flames. The flames immediately grew stronger, and a few flames flew towards Long Yintian like long snakes. Although Long Yintian's spiritual sense was not good, his speed was still not bad. He hurriedly dodged the attack and spat out a few streaks of black chi, which turned into a black dragon and fought with the flame snake. As soon as the black dragon and the fire snake came into contact, it emitted a corrosive sound. Both sides lost a part of their strength. Where they came into contact, a black and white mist appeared. Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual sense to explore and found that there were strands of purple qi in the mist. This purple qi was condensed from pure yin and pure yang qi, the kind of purple qi that was contained in the yin-yang purple jade and the purple cloud wood. Pure yang qi was easy to say, there was plenty of it in the golden flames. But this refined corpse actually had pure yin qi, which made Wang Daoyuan extremely puzzled. The yin qi of refined corpses and imps was extremely heterogeneous, and corpse qi and death qi were far more than yin qi. How could there be pure yin qi? But this guy just so happened to have pure yin energy on his body. Long Yintian fought back and forth with the scarlet-feathered crow and the vermilion bird fan. Wang Daoyuan was also not in a hurry. Long Yintian did not have yin qi to replenish, nor did he have the ability to kill in one blow. He would undoubtedly die if he fought to the death. Wang Daoyuan concealed his figure and came to the main hall's entrance, blocking his retreat, making him have no choice but to fight to the death here. This refined corpse that was once a rank 5 or even rank 6, its physical strength was much stronger than the metal elite corpse. Wang Daoyuan had been diligently cultivating the Heart Sutra of Cloud and Rain all these years, and his progress in body refinement was not too great. His current physical strength was still far from the metal elite corpses. Naturally, he did not dare to fight it head-on. Therefore, Wang Daoyuan set up a high rank 4 defensive formation at the main hall's entrance. This was given to him by Xian Zhouxiao during the Golden Core ceremony. He had not used it all these years, but he did not expect to use it here. In order to exhaust Long Yintian, Wang Daoyuan even deliberately lowered the output of the vermilion bird fan's spiritual energy, giving Long Yintian a slight advantage. Giving him the hope of victory, so that he would not want to escape back to the underground cave. No matter how intelligent a refined corpse was when it was alive, it would still be damaged after death. Wang Daoyuan was secretly playing tricks like this, but Long Yintian did not notice any clues. Instead, he was fighting to his heart's content. He had been guarding this branch for a long time, and probably had not fought with anyone for a long time. Unknowingly, more than 12 hours had passed. After fighting at such a high intensity, the scarlet-feathered crow was somewhat unable to hold on. The power of Long Yintian's black qi was not even half of before. Wang Daoyuan relied on the spiritual energy in the spiritual bead to replenish the vermilion bird fan's spiritual energy, and there was no problem. At this moment, Long Yintian realized that the situation was not right. He broke away from the entanglement of the scarlet-feathered crow and the vermilion bird fan, and rushed towards the main hall's entrance. The avatar devouring spirit instantly activated the array, and a gray defensive light shield appeared out of thin air. Long Yintian's head slammed into it, and then was bounced away by the light shield. The defensive light shield also flickered for a while, and the high-grade spirit stones on the arrayed disc also consumed a lot of spiritual energy. However, the defensive light shield still blocked Long Yintian. He knew that he had been tricked. He used all his strength and punched a few times on the defensive light shield, but he did not break through the defensive light shield. Wang Daoyuan would not just stand by and watch. He recalled the vermilion bird fan, and the 5 life source magical artifacts combined into the 5 elements devil suppression seal. A suppressive force pressed towards Long Yintian. At the same time, Kirin's shadow appeared, casting Kirin's evil suppression art, emitting bursts of yellow light. Under this suppressive force, Long Yintian's physical strength was weakened by more than 20%, and the threat to the defensive light shield was not great. Waving his hand, he shot out several black qi, attacking the 5 elements devil suppression seal. Wang Daoyuan used the devil suppression seal to cast the sword shadow divine light technique, and 10 sword shadows appeared. The black qi was weakened by 20% by Kirin's evil suppression art, and Long Yintian had consumed too much energy, so he was unable to break through the sword shadows. His retreat was cut off, and he could not win. Long Yintian was abnormally sad and indignant. I didn't expect that I, a dignified peak cultivator of Yuanying, would fall to the point of being humiliated by a golden core junior. If I had not turned into a refined corpse, what could this mere suppressive force do to me? Sect Master, I am incompetent and can no longer perform my duties. Wang Daoyuan thought that he was going to self-destruct, so he hurriedly used an escape technique and fled 100 miles away. Unexpectedly, not only did Long Yintian not self-destruct, but he also left the 7th courtyard and fled towards the southeast. Wang Daoyuan was a little dumbfounded. People's hearts were really not what they used to be. A refined corpse had learned to be so cunning. After guarding this place for tens of thousands of years, you should have struggled for a while. He had escaped, but Wang Daoyuan could not let him go. In the future, if the clan wanted to use this place as a retreat, leaving behind such a scourge, no matter how many people there were, it would not be enough for him to kill. This guy had consumed more than half of his black qi, but he still had the ability to break through a high-grade tier 4 defensive formation. There was simply no way to defend against him. For the future of the clan, he had to be killed. Wang Daoyuan put away the magic artifact and the scarlet-feathered crow, and chased towards the southeast, leaving the clone to continue searching for spiritual items. Chapter 645. Refined corpses could fly after reaching the 4th rank, but their flying speed was extremely slow, even slower than those clumsy 4th rank land demonic beasts. After all, this Long Yintian was an old dumpling that had lived for tens of thousands of years. He still had some tricks up his sleeve. His body was wrapped in thick black gas, and his speed was much faster than ordinary 4th rank refined corpses. Even the metal elite corpse was far inferior to him. Wang Daoyuan didn't have the confidence to catch up with him if he didn't use the evasion technique. The mist in the Zijin River Valley didn't seem to come from the branch hall. The mist over there had already been cut off by him using the Gui water death flame, so the mist over here didn't become thinner. After all, Long Yintian was once the local snake of the Zijin River Valley, so he was very familiar with the terrain. After a long time, he might really be able to escape. Wang Daoyuan used the cloud mist evasion and quickly chased after him. The mist here lingered, so he didn't need to condense the mist to use the cloud mist evasion. In a few dozen breaths, he caught up with Long Yuntian. Wang Daoyuan shouted, "Senior Long, don't run. With your speed, you can't escape. If Senior is willing to tell me where the other branches of the Valley of Beasts are and follow my orders, I can spare your life." Long Yuntian scolded angrily, "When I was dominating a region, your ancestors were still wearing diapers. You little bastard, what qualifications do you have to make me work for you?" This old guy had already become a refined corpse, but his mouth was still so sarcastic. When he was alive, he should have been a kindred spirit. It would be good if he could subdue him. Unfortunately, this kind of person wouldn't be willing to serve a golden core cultivator. He was once a Yuanying cultivator, and his essence, energy, and spirit combined to form the Yuanying. Wang Daoyuan didn't know what would happen after becoming a refined corpse. The doppelganger soul nurturing technique was risky even when used against Zifu realm cultivators. He didn't have the guts to use such an incomplete technique against a refined corpse formed from a Yuanying cultivator. Wang Daoyuan didn't waste any more words, and took out the meteorite fire-controlling gourd and the vermilion bird fan. The gourd spewed out golden flames, and under the control of the vermilion bird fan, burned towards Long Yuntian. Compared to ordinary refined corpses, Long Yuntian's means were considered extremely numerous. Previously, when he was dealing with Metal Elite Zombie, that guy couldn't prevent the golden flames from landing on his body. All he could do was suppress the flames. But Long Yuntian was actually able to condense a black defensive barrier, blocking the corrosion of the flames. He did not stop to take the beating. Instead, he looked for opportunities to attack Wang Daoyuan. Energy attacks were of no threat to Wang Daoyuan, so he could only find an opportunity to get close to him. However, the cloud mist escape had a great advantage here. It saved him a lot of time to condense the clouds, and his reaction speed was extremely fast. The two of them fought for more than 2 hours. Long Yuntian could no longer maintain his defensive barrier, and the flames directly burned his body. He went straight down. Wang Daoyuan was afraid that he would hide in the clouds and escape, so he chased after him. Long Yuntian quickly landed on the ground, but he did not run away. Instead, he jumped up high and punched towards Wang Daoyuan. Now that he had exhausted too much of his yin qi, his physical strength had also weakened, but his jumping speed was still extremely fast. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the cloud mist escape, wanting to dodge the attack. But previously, he was diving down at an extremely fast speed. It was a bit difficult to escape now. He could only use the black tortoise shield to take the punch. After a muffled sound, Wang Daoyuan was sent flying. The black tortoise shield was made from the spirit spring pearl. It was invisible and formless, so it was not damaged. But it was not able to defend against all the power. Nearly 30% of the power still hit his body. His physical body was not weak, and his injuries were not too serious. He only spat out a mouthful of blood, and his internal organs were faintly aching. After flying for more than 200 feet, he stabilized his body. Long Yuntian wanted to take the opportunity to escape, but he had the golden flames on his body. Wang Daoyuan could sense his position. Where could he run to? He released the red-feathered crow and chased after Long Yuntian. It had exhausted a lot of its spiritual energy. It had been more than 2 hours in the space of the spirit pearl, and it had almost recovered. Once it left the space of the spirit pearl, it turned into a golden sun and chased after Long Yuntian. Wang Daoyuan used the azure dragon pearl to heal his internal injuries and followed behind leisurely. Long Yuntian was already at the end of his life. After half a cup of tea's time, his entire body was wrapped in flames. He did not run anymore. When Wang Daoyuan arrived, he said calmly, "I have no way to live anymore. I just want to leave behind some last words." Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry to make a move. He indicated for him to continue speaking. But he did not extinguish the flames. He still maintained a distance of more than 20 miles. Long Yuntian continued, "When the demonic beasts invaded, the cultivators of the branch hall were all killed. I was also seriously injured. In order to survive, I could only refine myself into a living corpse. My soul has long scattered. Now, my consciousness is only the obsession to protect the branch hall. I protected the branch hall because I did not want the things of the Valley of Beasts to fall into the hands of the demonic beasts. Your bloodline is mixed, but your human bloodline has the absolute advantage. You are also a real human. You also learned the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. You can barely be considered a disciple of the Valley of Beasts. Leaving this branch hall to you can be considered as completing my mission. I will not explode my corpse core to fight with you. As long as you agree to one of my requests, I can leave my corpse core to you. I was once a peak Yuanian cultivator. In my corpse core, there is still the power of a Yuanian cultivator. If I had not become a refined corpse and could not use the power in it, I would not have lost to you. You don't look old, but you have such a cultivation level. If you borrow my corpse core, you can definitely break through to the Yuanian realm. One of Wang Daoyuan's goals in coming here was to find a spiritual item that could help his master break through. Naturally, he was very tempted. He reduced his firepower and cupped his hands. I don't know what request Senior has. As long as Junior can do it, I will not refuse. Long Yintian laughed bitterly. In the underground treasury of the main hall of the branch hall, there's my identity token and the whole story of the attack on the Zijin River branch hall. If the Valley of Beasts is still here, if you have the chance in the future, you can give these things to the elders or sect master of the Valley of Beasts. Tell them that I, Long Yintian, have guarded the Zijin River branch hall for more than 50,000 years and have never lost. I, Long Yintian, have not let down the sect master's trust. If the Valley of Beasts is already dead, then forget it. After I am burned by the golden flames of this mixed-blood golden crow, throw my ashes into the Zijin River. Hopefully, they can follow the water back to the sect. Wang Daoyuan nodded. I will not be at ease if Senior does not die. I have to kill you. However, I will try my best to fulfill Senior's last wish. Long Yuntian's stiff face revealed a relaxed smile. You are also a hero among the younger generation. If it was not for the lack of spiritual energy in the cultivation world, it would not be a problem for you to cultivate to the soul formation stage. To be able to die in your hands is not a disgrace. After he finished speaking, he no longer used his yin qi to resist the golden flames. Soon, his entire body turned into ashes. Wang Daoyuan kept all the ashes. Among the ashes, there was a pearl with a diameter of 3 inches. This pearl was as black as inked jade. It contained a dense amount of yin qi. The golden flames could not burn it in a short time. There was also an extremely strong power of law. This should be the corpse core. However, the yin qi inside was so dense. It was hard to say whether it would be useful to his master. He took out his clone Tu Yuming from the space of the spiritual pearl and asked him to put the corpse core into a universe ring. Then, he put him and the universe ring into the space of the spiritual pearl. After all, he was once a cultivator at the peak of Yuanying. He had to be careful. After that, he flew towards the south. Soon, he arrived at the bank of the Zijin River. He scattered Long Yuntian's ashes into the river. According to Long Yuntian, the sect of the Valley of Beasts should be downstream of the Zijin River. If it was in the valley of the Zijin River, there was no need to set up another branch hall here. If it was not in the valley of the Zijin River, it could only be in the Mirage Fog Sea. It was said that there were many living Mirage dragons in the Mirage Fog Sea. The fog in the Mirage Fog Sea was spat out by those Mirage dragons. Including the fog in the valley of the Zijin River, a large part of it came from the Mirage Fog Sea. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not dare to explore it. After scattering the ashes, he went to the branch hall and prepared to explore the underground cave. Chapter 646. Before Wang Daoyuan returned, Devouring Spirit did not stay idle. He also explored the palaces on the east and west sides. There were a total of 6 skeletons in the palaces on both sides. He obtained 3 complete universe rings from the skeletons. Similar to the universe rings he obtained before, they contained some materials, artifacts, and other items that were once level 5 but had now fallen to level 4. If these items were placed near a level 5 spirit vein for a period of time, they might be able to recover their level. It would be a pity to use them now. It was better to leave them in the space of the spirit pearl. When he reached the Qixing Si Shuxian community, he should be able to obtain level 5 spiritual materials and artifacts soon. Previously, he did not know the situation in the main hall's cave, so Wang Daoyuan did not let devouring spirit go down rashly. Now that he was back, he had someone to take care of. He could have the spirit devourer go and take a look. Devouring spirit condensed a black skull to investigate the situation in the cave. This time, he did not encounter any resistance. The skull explored the entire cave. If he did not encounter any danger, he could let his clone go down to take a look. Before ensuring absolute safety, Wang Daoyuan would definitely not take the risk. He had just risked his life to kill Long Yintian. He did not want to fail miserably. His clone did not encounter any danger. There was indeed a treasure trove inside. It was divided into 4 small and 1 large, a total of 5 stone rooms. The 4 small stone rooms contained items related to pills, artifacts, and talismans. Among them, the pills and talismans had all been destroyed. However, there were still more than 10 pieces of yin-yang purple jade in the place where the pills were stored. This thing would not spoil and could still be used now. To the purple gold river branch back then, this was the most worthless thing. But to the Wang family, this thing was much more valuable than level 4 materials. There were not many artifacts in the stone room where the artifacts were stored. After all, they had been invaded by demonic beasts. The artifacts had long been used to deal with the demonic beasts. There were only 2 level 4 beast-controlling rings left. These things could forcefully subdue level 4 demonic beasts. Perhaps because the grade was too low, they were not taken out. This thing was still very valuable to Wang Daoyuan. The Wang family wanted to develop the sky/mountain range, so it was inevitable that they would encounter level 4 demonic beasts that did not follow the rules. With this thing around, there was no need to worry about demonic beasts not obeying the rules. The rest were all refining materials, most of which Wang Daoyuan couldn't even name. There was nothing good in the stone room, only a pile of blank array discs and materials for refining array discs. The useful array discs should have been used up in the battle. There were 5 or 6 large bookshelves in the large stone room, but they were still protected by restrictions. The devouring spirit did not dare to act rashly, lest it destroy these inheritances. It was better to find the switch that controlled the restriction and turn it off first. Long Yintian said that his records and identity medallion were in the treasury, but these 2 things were not in the 5 stone rooms. The devouring spirit used a small ability to probe the stone wall. Sure enough, he found a stone room in the innermost part of the treasury. Entering this stone room, there was no need for a token. The devouring spirit quickly opened the stone room, and a rich water spirit energy and pure yin energy gushed out. It looked like an Immortals cave, but it wasn't very big. It was only 100 feet square. In the middle of the Immortals cave, there was an upper-grade Tier 4 spirit spring. The spring water exuded a rich pure yin qi. No wonder Long Yintian could turn him into a refined corpse and still be so strong. With the nourishment of the yin qi of this spirit spring, it was normal to cultivate such a refined corpse in tens of thousands of years. This spirit spring was not bad. It could be used to cultivate all kinds of spirit plants useful for the soul. Beside the spirit spring, there was an array core with a diameter of more than 3 feet. This array core was still operating. On the east wall of the Immortals cave, there was a stone bed. Beside the bed, there was a table with a white jade token and a silver metal book on it. Wang Daoyuan was not unfamiliar with this kind of golden book. The inheritance of the golden rock fighting dragon technique was engraved on this kind of golden book. The words engraved on it were relatively simple and were somewhat different from the words used now. However, Wang Daoyuan often read ancient words, so he could still recognize them. The things recorded in the book were indeed resisting demon beasts and protecting the branch. The devouring spirit doppelganger put the token and golden book into the universe ring, then came to the array core. Wang Daoyuan used the devouring spirit's eyes to carefully observe the array core. Although this array core was brilliant, its principle was similar to a Tier 4 array core. It was not difficult to shut it down. He controlled the devouring spirit doppelganger to stop the array core from operating. The sea serpent in the hall outside no longer spat out clouds. The remaining arrays in the other palaces were also instantly shut down. The restrictions on the bookshelves in the treasure vault were also shut down at the same time. The array core in this Immortals cave was the main array core of the entire Purple Gold River branch. After all the arrays were shut down, Wang Daoyuan entered the hall and put the sea serpent's corpse into the space of the spirit pearl. A Tier 5 sea serpent. Not to mention other things, the value of the sea serpent's pearl far exceeded that of a pseudo-dragon pearl of the same level. Then, he entered the underground treasure vault and put all the treasures into the space of the spirit pearl. He carefully looked through the books. There were jade slips, beast skin books, and golden books. The jade slips were all useless, and the contents inside were all gone. The beast skin books were mostly intact, and the golden books were intact. The contents of these books were also varied. There were all 4 inheritances of elixir, artifact, and talisman arrays. They could reach Tier 5, but the contents were not very specific. It was not a problem to use them to get started. If he wanted to play tricks, he could only rely on himself. The highlight was still the way of beast taming. The other inheritances were all recorded in beast skin books. Only the beast taming inheritance was recorded in golden books. This beast taming inheritance was called the 10,000 Beasts Mystic Tome. It recorded the Tier 5 beast taming methods. It also included the refining methods of various beast taming magic artifacts. The refining method of the beast taming ring was among them. In addition to the beast taming inheritance, there was also a body tempering technique recorded in golden books. It was called the True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique. This technique did not have any attribute requirements. Any spiritual root could be cultivated. However, the materials from the dragon species were needed to assist in the cultivation. The technique that Long Yuntian cultivated was the True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique. The content recorded in golden books could be cultivated to the peak of Yuanying. The True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique was divided into 3 parts. The first part was the part of cultivating spiritual power. After all, the body tempering technique also needed to be improved. The second part was the most important part of the body tempering. This body tempering could be divided into internal and external tempering. Internal tempering was very similar to the body tempering part of the 5 spirits immortal technique. It mainly strengthened the 5 internal organs. The external tempering part used the 5 internal organs as the foundation to comprehensively strengthen the physical body. The 5 spirits immortal technique focused on the internal but not the external. It could strengthen the physical body's potential. However, this potential could not be fully utilized. The actual effect was still a little lacking compared to other brilliant body tempering techniques. After all, it was created by the 5 elements spiritual master himself. It was not perfect enough. The True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique cultivated both internal and external. When cultivated to the extreme, the physical body was comparable to a true dragon. Moreover, when facing an enemy, it could transform into a dragon form for a short period of time. This was not condensing a true dragon's shadow. It was actually transforming the body into a dragon form. After transforming into a dragon, the defensive power would increase greatly. It could also increase the power of the accompanying spells. Wang Daoyuan was most interested in strengthening the physical body. The true dragon was famous for being merciless. The effect of this technique strengthening the physical body was actually so powerful. Putting aside the combat strength, just based on this point, he had to cultivate it well. After mastering it, he should be able to eliminate the problem of waist pain. The third part of the True Dragon physical conditioning technique recorded some accompanying spells. For example, Azure Dragon's Roar, True Dragon Sky-Breaking Claw, and so on. After transforming into a dragon form, the power would increase greatly. There was also an escape technique called the True Dragon Flight Technique. When used in the air, the speed was about the same as the Vermilion Bird Flight Technique. After entering the water, the speed was faster than in the air. Wang Daoyuan stored these important inheritances properly. In the future, if he wanted to break through to the peak of Yuanying, he would have to use this True Dragon physical conditioning technique as a reference. He continued to flip through the other beastskin books. The contents were more messy. There were various travel notes of senior cultivators, strange stories, and so on. He also found a 10,000 spirit catalog, which recorded information about various birds, beasts, fish, and insects. Chapter 647. There was a lot of content recorded in this 10,000 spirit catalog. The entire animal skin book was more than a foot thick, but each page was not even as thick as a talisman paper. There were more than 10,000 pages in the entire book. The 10,000 spirit catalog deserved its name. Wang Daoyuan opened the 10,000 spirit catalog. The catalog divided all spirits into 5 categories: divine beasts, birds, beasts, water spirits, and spiritual worms. He flipped to the divine beasts section and carefully checked the content of the dragon race. There was quite a lot of content recorded on this page of animal skin. There were about 300,000 to 400,000 words, and there were also some pictures. It recorded the different types of true dragons of the dragon race, as well as the types of divine abilities of these true dragons, their strengths and weaknesses, and so on. What surprised Wang Daoyuan was that there was actually a record of breeding true dragons in this book. The Valley of Beasts in ancient times was really ferocious. In the end, there was also a record of the jade-scaled flood dragon and other half-divine beasts with rich dragon blood that had a high chance of turning into true dragons. Wang Daoyuan flipped through the other divine beasts. The content was similar to the dragon race. Only the Kirin race had fewer records. After all, among the divine beasts, Kirin was the one that appeared the least. He had always been puzzled about what species the Yunyi tiger was. However, after reading many biographies of predecessors, they only said that it was extraordinary, but they did not say what species it was. A tiger's roar could cause demon beasts and human cultivators with higher cultivation levels to be dazed for a short period of time. This kind of power was definitely not something that could be explained by ordinary Dharma spells. It might have already involved the level of laws. Especially after advancing to the third stage, this fellow's eyes were like black jade, with a strong murderous aura and yin qi. When he was advancing, even Wang Daoyuan's soul, who was nearby, felt a burst of fear. With such power, it could not be an ordinary spirit beast. Other than the 2 cloud patterns on its shoulders that could turn into wings, the Yunyi tiger was more similar to the divine beast white tiger. Wang Daoyuan also carefully checked the situation of the divine beast white tiger. There were few branches of the divine beast white tiger, and most of them looked the same. The book recorded some variants of the white tiger. One of them was called the soul-devouring dark tiger. This guy looked very similar to Yunyi, except for a pair of small wings. Legend has it that the soul-devouring dark tiger was a divine white tiger that guarded the ghost gate all year round. It fed on evil ghosts and had mutated. They liked to live in places with dense yin qi and baleful qi. They could use yin qi and the energy derived from yin qi to cultivate, including corpse qi and death qi. The soul-devouring dark tiger's strongest ability was its roar. With a tiger's roar, the evil spirit would be so scared that it would tremble all over. It would have no strength to resist and could only wait for death. Opponents with lower cultivation levels would even be shaken to the point that their souls would scatter. This was very similar to the roar of Yunyi's fat tiger. It was most likely the bloodline of the soul-devouring dark tiger. The contents of the white tiger divine beast could not possibly record the situation of a rank 2 demonic beast. Wang Daoyuan flipped to the back of the book and found the information about Yunyi tiger. The contents of the book showed that the Yunyi tiger indeed had the bloodline of the soul-devouring dark tiger, but it was very thin. The Valley of Beasts had cultivated many Yunyi tigers in the past, but only a few of them had advanced to rank 3. It was even rarer to have a situation similar to that of Yunyi. They had also spent a lot of effort to cultivate the Yunyi tigers that showed the characteristics of the soul-devouring dark tiger. However, even after spending a lot of resources, these Yunyi tigers did not advance further. They were only cultivated to rank 3 superior grade and did not advance to rank 4. The Valley of Beasts did not lack divine beasts in the past, so there was no need to spend too many resources to cultivate the rank 3 Yunyi tigers. In the end, they could only leave it unsettled. These records mentioned that after the characteristics of the soul-devouring dark tiger appeared, it needed to be fed more things with dense yin qi. This guy could also eat some weak ghosts and extract corpse qi and death qi from things like refined corpses. Evil qi was also derived from yin qi and was also within the range of the Yunyi tiger. It was no wonder that after Yunyi reached rank 3, its growth speed was extremely slow. It turned out that it needed yin qi to grow rapidly. After reading these, Wang Daoyuan did not continue reading and directly put the whole book into the space of the Spirit Pearl. The rest of the books were also put into the space of the Spirit Pearl for safekeeping. Wang Daoyuan carefully observed the bookshelf. It seemed to be made of rank 4 spiritual wood. It was too wasteful to leave such good things here. He also put all the bookshelves into the space of the Spirit Pearl. After that, he was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he cultivated here for a while. He had just obtained the True Dragon physical conditioning technique, such a brilliant body tempering technique, so he naturally could not let it go. He could directly skip the part of the True Dragon physical conditioning technique spiritual power cultivation part. He had his own technique, so it was useless to cultivate this thing. The internal tempering part of the body tempering was very similar to the 5 spirits immortal art. It was just that the circulation path of the spiritual power was somewhat different. When the True Dragon physical conditioning technique nourished the internal organs, it required the assistance of dragon qi. Ordinary human cultivators could not detect the existence of dragon qi. Only after cultivating the True Dragon physical conditioning technique to a certain extent could they detect dragon qi. When one first started cultivating, they could only rely on the materials on the dragon species, such as dragon blood, dragon scales, and pseudo-dragon pearls to obtain dragon qi. Wang Daoyuan really did not lack these things. The azure dragon pearl was refined from a pseudo-dragon pearl, so it more or less had some dragon qi in it. Moreover, his jade dragon spring most likely had dragon qi and could be cultivated on the jade spring peak. This technique was very suitable for the Wang family and could be used as the core inheritance of the family. Wang Daoyuan converted all the 5 elements spiritual fire into spiritual power according to the internal tempering method and guided the spiritual power to nourish the 5 internal organs. At the same time, he also extracted some life force from the azure dragon pearl and integrated it into his spiritual power. This way, he could always have some dragon qi. The effect of this body tempering was indeed much stronger than the 5 spirits immortal art. After all, it was the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts and had been improved by countless cultivators. It was much more perfect than the 5 spirits immortal art. After cultivating the internal tempering method for more than a month, his 5 internal organs were clearly strengthened. Then, he began to use the external tempering method. The external tempering method was to draw out the essence of the 5 internal organs and use it to nourish various parts of the body. For example, the essence of the liver was used to nourish the tendons, the kidneys, the bones, and some other places. When cultivating the external tempering method, he also drew out some life force from the azure dragon pearl. Wang Daoyuan had cultivated the 5 spirits immortal art for many years, so the strength of his 5 internal organs and the potential of his body was still very strong. Although he had suffered some losses over the years, it only affected the speed of his improvement and did not show any signs of regression. Cultivating the external tempering method released this potential, and the strength of his body improved very quickly. Half a year later, the strength of his physical body had greatly increased. Previously, he was considered weak among the late-stage golden core cultivators with only his physical strength. Now, he could exchange blows with a third-rate golden core cultivator with only his physical strength. It was just that he had not cultivated for long and could not transform his body into a dragon. However, he had learned some of the supplementary spells of the true dragon physical conditioning technique. These spells imitated the movements of a true dragon in battle. Coupled with his strong physical body, the power of these spells was still very strong. Even if he could not, his current strength was not considered weak among the first-rate golden core cultivators. Compared to Zhao Jinghua, there was still a gap. However, he should not be at a disadvantage against the long-legged prince and Song Yan. It had been nearly 4 years since he left the Jade Spring Peak and came to explore the Zijin River Valley. These years, he had been in contact with Zhou Wan through his clone Jingping. There were no problems with the family. Zhao Jinghua was recuperating and was not in the mood to cause trouble. It was in the north of Shanbei that the 10,000 corpse spiritual master had sent his subordinates to refine corpses to test the West. The county king's manor and the Wang family's development focus was on the oasis, and there was no need for them to get involved in the north of Shanbei for the time being. After staying here for so long, now that his cultivation was successful, it was time to go back. However, he could not give up on the Zijin River branch. The value of this 4th-grade spirit vein was extremely high. In the future, the family would develop this place and use it as their foundation. Although the defensive array of the branch was broken, the array core was not damaged seriously. Only some of the array patterns were broken. Wang Daoyuan did not have the ability to inscribe these array patterns. However, it was still barely possible to repair the broken array patterns. After spending more than half a month, he repaired the defensive array of the 7th courtyard. As for the other arrays, he had the heart but not the strength. After calling Jingping over from the karst cave, Wang Daoyuan was not in the mood to refine corpses. What's more, a 3rd-grade high-grade refined corpse wasn't worth much. He might as well let him guard the Zijin River branch. It just so happened that there was a Yin spring in Long Yintian's cave, which was more suitable for refining corpses. After arranging everything, Wang Daoyuan returned to the Jade Spring Peak. It was time to test the results of his body refinement. Chapter 648. Wang Daoyuan left the Purple Gold River branch with his clone and headed toward the karst cave in the southwest direction. The Mirage Dragon's corpse was taken away by him, and the remaining array formation could no longer produce clouds. However, the clouds nearby were only slightly thinner and did not disappear directly. The mist produced by a Mirage Dragon at least Class 5 only accounted for a very small portion. However, the value of this Mirage Dragon's corpse was not low. After storing it in the Spirit Pearl space, Tu Yuming took the Mirage Dragon's Dragon Pearl and Dragon Horn. The remaining dragon corpse's spirit power had been exhausted, and it was impossible to refine artifacts, so it was buried near the water attribute spirit vein. The dragon horn of a Mirage Dragon above Class 5, even if it had transformed into a superior grade Class 4 material, was still extremely strong. It would not be a problem to refine a natal magic artifact. If it was really sold, it would be easy to sell for more than 10 million spirit stones. The value of the Dragon Pearl was much higher than the Dragon Horn. The array formation that spewed out clouds was called the Mirage Mist Bewilderment Array. It was to guide the water spirit power and the spirit vein into the Mirage Dragon's body and send it into the Mirage Dragon Pearl together. The Mirage Dragon Pearl itself had the ability to produce fog. Under the nourishment of a huge amount of spirit power, it produced a large amount of clouds. Whether it was used to refine a natal magic artifact or set up an illusion array, the value of this item was extremely high. Moreover, this Mirage Dragon Pearl was transformed from a Class 5 spirit item. Although it no longer had Class 5 spirit power, it was not like Long Yintian's corpse core that could directly help him break through to Yuanying. However, the laws contained in it were still powerful, and it would not be a problem to help him comprehend the laws. Just this point alone was not something that the Dragon Horn could compare to. After returning to the west of the sky/mountain range through the karst cave, Wang Daoyuan asked the spirit-devouring beast to monitor the situation north of the mountain while he returned to the Jade Spring Peak. He sent a voice transmission to the third brother to tell him that he was back and then returned to the underground cave abode. At this time, Zhou Wan was soaking in the hot spring. As soon as Wang Daoyuan walked into the cave abode, she asked with a smile, "Looking at your expression, you should have obtained a lot of benefits. Are there any spirit fruits, spirit wine, or the like?" The Purple Gold River branch has been destroyed for more than 50,000 years, and the bones of the Class 6 demonic beast have become scraps. What good things can be left? In the future, our Wang clan's inheritance will probably not be weaker than the Zhao clan's. Oh right, can you find out anything about Long Yintian from Blood Shadow's intelligence? Zhou Wan took a few pine nuts and said, "After you left, I had people investigate a lot of information about the Valley of Beasts. Long Yintian is not a stranger. He was a famous master before the destruction of the Valley of Beasts. He seemed to be a cultivator with a heavenly spiritual root. He also had a spiritual body. He also cultivated the true dragon physical conditioning technique, which was one of the techniques passed down in the Valley of Beasts. He formed his gold core when he was over 180 years old, more than 10 years earlier than you. He formed his Yuanying when he was just over 300 years old. At that time, this person was also one of the top geniuses. He was almost predetermined to be the successor to the head of the Valley of Beasts. Later on, it was said that he was transferred back to the Valley of Beasts. Why are you suddenly asking this question? Is the Zijin River branch related to him? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Isn't that so? I even fought with him. Zhou Wan was stunned. She quickly asked, "You're not injured, right?" "That's not right. How can he be alive until now? He's the last hall master of the Zijin River branch. In order to resist the demonic beasts, he turned himself into a refined corpse and survived until now. Fortunately, the spiritual energy now is not as good as before, and his cultivation level has also dropped. Refined corpses can't control the power of law, so I used the flames of the red-feathered crow to kill him. It's just that when this guy couldn't withstand the flames, he sneakily attacked me and punched me." Zhou Wan's face was filled with worry. "Where are you hurt? Are your injuries serious?" Wang Daoyuan pretended to be seriously injured. "My injuries are very serious. I'm just waiting for you to heal me. Do you want to heal me here or go back to the room?" Zhou Wan glanced at him and threw a few pine nuts at him. Wang Daoyuan condensed a water dragon and brought Zhou Wan out of the hot spring. He carried her in his arms and walked into the room. Zhou Wan pinched his waist and found that something was wrong. She asked, "Why is your skin so hard?" Wang Daoyuan smiled naughtily. "After cultivating the true dragon body tempering technique, my physical body is much stronger than before. You'll know in a while." The true dragon body tempering technique seemed to have a complementary effect with the Zhou clan's body tempering technique. Their cultivation speed had increased by quite a bit. After staying at the Jade Spring Peak for more than a month, Wang Daoyuan planned to go to the treasured Cauldron Mountain to give the corpse core to his master. His master didn't have much lifespan left. He couldn't continue to waste it like this. He woke up Zhou Wan in his arms and asked, "I'm going to the treasured Cauldron Mountain to give the corpse core to my master and let him try to form his nascent soul. Are you coming with me?" Zhou Wan shook her head and said helplessly, "I left a soul lamp at the Blood Shadow headquarters. Those old guys at the headquarters can estimate my approximate location through the soul lamp. If I go to the treasured Cauldron Mountain, I'll be discovered. You go. I'll guard the Jade Spring Peak." Wang Daoyuan left her a lot of spiritual fruits and spiritual wine before leaving the underground cave. Zhou Wan went back to sleep. This time, Wang Daoyuan didn't inform anyone. He put on the black magic robe and used the concealing devil art to fly southwest. He had a grudge against the Song Kingdom. To avoid trouble, he didn't go through the Song Kingdom. Instead, he went upstream along the Wanchuan River and went to the Jing Kingdom. The western border of the Zhao Kingdom was the Dragon Spine Mountain. This mountain range connected to the Huiyan Mountain in the north and extended all the way to the Song Kingdom in the south. The mountain range to the west of Wuchang Pass was the remnant of the Dragon Spine Mountain. There were only 2 openings on the Dragon Spine Mountain. One was the Hanjiang Pass, and the other was the opening where the Wanchuan River flowed out. If he went upstream along the Wanchuan River and crossed the Dragon Spine Mountain, he would reach the Jing Kingdom. There weren't any obstacles if he went south through the Jing Kingdom. Half a month later, he arrived at the treasured Cauldron Mountain. He put away the concealing devil art, took off the black magic robe, and showed his guest elder token. The cultivators guarding the mountain gate immediately let him in. Wang Daoyuan flew directly to his master's cave abode on a cloud. The treasured Cauldron Mountain's flight restriction array wasn't fully activated. It didn't restrict golden core cultivators. At this moment, under the bloody fire Fusang tree, an old man with a slightly stooped figure was preaching to a young cultivator. Seeing Wang Daoyuan come, the old man smiled and said, "Daoyuan, how come you have time to visit me?" Wang Daoyuan landed under the tree and cupped his hands. "Greetings, master." This old man was Perfected Lei Yen. At this moment, he looked like a white-haired old man from the countryside. His white hair was somewhat withered, and there wasn't much color on his face. His body wasn't as sturdy as it was a few decades ago, and he looked a lot thinner. Perfected Lei Yen checked his cultivation and nodded in satisfaction. "You're indeed a genius. A late-stage golden core cultivator who's not even 240 years old. That's rare. If it wasn't for the fact that there's no more 5th-grade spirit qi in this world, you might be able to break through to the Yuanying realm before 300 years old." The young cultivator was Wang Mingting. He was an early-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator, not far from mid-stage Violet Palace realm. Wang Daoyuan sent Wang Mingting away and helped Perfected Lei Yen up, walking towards the cave abode. Perfected Lei Yen opened the cave abode's restriction and asked, "You're now the ruler of a country. You're busy, so you won't come here for no reason. Just tell me what you've encountered. My old bones can still suppress a few rascals." Wang Daoyuan took out Long Yintian's corpse core. "With my current strength, there really aren't many people who would dare to provoke me." This disciple found a branch of the Valley of Beasts and killed a refined corpse that was tens of thousands of years old to obtain this item. This corpse core contains a portion of the Yuanying cultivator's spirit qi and power of laws. It can help a cultivator break through to the Yuanying realm. I'm here to deliver it to you. Perfected Lei Yen waved his hand. "You're truly blessed. This thing is something that can only be chanced upon in the entire cultivation world. I'm someone who's about to enter the grave. Using this thing is a waste. Your future is limitless, so you should use it." These past few years, the concentration of spirit qi in Beiyuan Shouxian has been slowly rising. 1,000 years later, a 5th-grade spirit vein might appear. With this thing, it's not impossible for you to reach the late stage of the Yuanying realm. At that time, you might be able to cross the decimating heaven abyss and leave Beiyuan. There's no need to ruin your future for my old bones. Chapter 649. When their lifespan was nearing its end, they would still have the chance to break through to the next realm and live for another 1,000 years. To any cultivator, there was no greater temptation than this. But under such circumstances, Master still wanted to give the opportunity to his disciple. Wang Daoyuan sighed in his heart. To be able to meet such a master who wholeheartedly thought of his disciple, it could be considered his life's fortune. "Don't worry, master. I've already thought of a countermeasure." Once the clan had stabilized, the disciples would go out to sea and head to other cultivation worlds. "Your disciple is only 200 years old now, so I still have plenty of time to go out and explore. After leaving Beiyuan Shouxian, it won't be a problem to break through Yuanying." Daoist Thunderflame waved his hand and said, "Don't try to coax me. The cultivation world closest to Beiyuan is just south of decimating heaven abyss. Not even Yuanying cultivators have the confidence to pass through. How can a Jindan cultivator like you have the ability to do so?" Listen to me, take this corpse core and break through to the Yuanying realm in the future. You have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. If you cultivate to the late stage of Yuanying, you might not necessarily be unable to cross absolute heaven abyss. It's really not worth it to waste such a treasure for a dying man like me. Wang Daoyuan sighed and took out the 10,000 corpse Daoist master's experience of the vast sea. Take a look at this and you'll know if I'm lying to you. Daoist Lei Yen took the beast skin book and flipped through it for a long time. No wonder the 10,000 corpse Daoist master was so powerful back then. I didn't expect him to be a disciple of a large sect in another cultivation world. But where did you get this thing? Wang Daoyuan replied, after the Daoist master of 10,000 corpses was heavily injured, he hid in the Yellow Springs secret realm north of Mount Huiyan, near the Jewel Mirror Lake Oasis. 200 years ago, two Foundation establishment cultivators went to explore a secret realm and obtained the inheritance of the 10,000 corpse Daoist master. The two of them had an internal conflict, and one of them was seriously injured and fled to the Wang family's territory. I took care of him and obtained part of the 10,000 corpse Daoist master's inheritance. The other was dealt with when I was at the peak of Foundation establishment. Now, the inheritance of the 10,000 corpse Daoist master is in my hands. You're really lucky to be able to obtain the inheritance of more than one golden core cultivator. What's even more commendable is that after obtaining such a powerful inheritance, you can still resist the urge to walk the path of refining corpses. Right, the secret realm that the 10,000 corpse Daoist master is hiding in should be the secret realm where the corpse refiners are wreaking havoc, right? So you're saying that these refined corpses were left behind by the 10,000 corpse Daoist master? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Indeed, the 10,000 corpse Daoist master has turned into a ghost cultivator and is hiding in that secret realm. These refined corpses are running around under the control of Daoist master myriad corpses. Daoist Thunderflame sucked in a breath of cold air. This fellow isn't easy to deal with. Why don't I help you destroy him? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, no matter how strong he is, he's just a half-step Yuanying. Once he leaves the Yellow Springs secret realm, he's still not my match. If they kept him alive, he would be able to relieve the boredom of the demons and half-demons in Shanbei. Otherwise, why would I intervene in the affairs of Shanbei? Master, do you believe that I have a way out now? You can use this corpse core, don't worry about me. Daoist Thunderflame chuckled. You have a lot of ideas. Since you're so confident, I won't interfere. Wang Daoyuan continued, in addition to the spiritual power of a Yuanying cultivator, there's also a lot of Yin Qi in this corpse core. I don't know if it can help Master successfully transcend the tribulation. Daoist Thunderflame stroked his long beard. Not everyone can shatter their core and form their nascent soul as easily as you Penta spiritual roots cultivators. Yuanying is the fusion of essence, energy, and spirit. It's the birth of a new life, and the most important thing is balance. Penta spiritual roots cultivators can easily achieve the balance of the 5 elements. Once their cultivation and comprehension of the laws reach a certain level, it's possible to form their nascent soul without the assistance of spiritual objects. Most cultivators don't have all 5 elements. When forming their nascent soul, they need the assistance of spiritual objects of other elements. In addition to the balance of the 5 elements, they also need to pay attention to the balance of yin and yang. It's fine for ordinary cultivators, but Master is a lightning attributed cultivator and also has a battle constitution. The lightning attributed attribute is the most masculine and yang, so it also needs the assistance of some yin qi. The yin qi in this corpse core can save a lot of effort. The Yuanying spiritual power in the corpse core is of the water attribute, while Master is of the lightning attribute. I also have fire and wood attributes. The rest are earth attributed and metal attributed spiritual objects. The divine weapon pavilion doesn't lack such things, so it's easy to find them. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan relaxed. I was worried that I couldn't use the yin qi, but I didn't expect to hit the jackpot. Disciple also has some earth essence. I don't know if I can use it as an earth-attributed spiritual object. Daoist Thunderflame nodded. The earth essence is an excellent earth-attributed spiritual object. I don't need much of it, just the size of a fingernail will do. With the corpse core, the other spiritual objects can only be used as a catalyst. As long as it's not lower than the 4th grade, it'll be fine. The Yuanying heavenly tribulation is a 5-elemental tribulation. Whether or not the Yuanying can stabilize will depend on how much of the heavenly tribulation's power can be absorbed to complete the 5 elements. Wait here for a moment, I'll go find junior brother Yunha and ask for some metal-attributed spiritual objects suitable for forming their nascent soul. After finishing his words, he left the cave. When Wang Daoyuan refined the Kirin seal, he used 1/3 of the earth essence, leaving him with less than 4 inches. After that, he placed the earth essence on the earth-attributed spiritual vein in the spiritual pearl, allowing the spiritual vein to absorb a portion of the earth essence to grow. After the spiritual vein grew to the 4th grade, it no longer needed to absorb the earth essence. Instead, it could allow the earth essence to grow slowly. Currently, the earth element essence was 4 inches and 1 fin long. His soul entered the spiritual pearl and cut off a small portion of the earth essence, leaving only 4 inches long. A quarter of an hour later, Master returned to the cave abode with an angry look on his face. Wang Daoyuan asked, "What's wrong? Martial Uncle Yunha isn't willing to give it to me? Why don't I go to the southern wasteland and slaughter a few 4th grade metal-attributed beasts? Their golden cores should be fine, right?" Daoist Thunderflame took out a golden pearl. "I've got it, but old man Xian Yan insisted on going against me and making things difficult for me. I don't have much lifespan left, and I didn't make any preparations. Even if I form a Yuanying, I might fail the tribulation. There are some things I need to settle. With you around, even if I fail the tribulation, old man Xian Yan won't dare to go overboard. However, I can't let my guard down. I've already ordered Daoyin to be transferred to the Clear Glass City. He's almost at the peak of the Violet Palace realm. With you taking care of him, I don't have to worry about him. Also, pass my Purple Thunder Divine Flame to him on my behalf. It can save him a lot of time for cultivation." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "Master, the Purple Thunder Divine Flame has a great influence on your strength. With it, your chances of passing the tribulation will be higher. Daoyin's talent isn't bad either. Without the Purple Thunder Divine Flame, it won't take much effort for him to form his golden core." Daoist Thunderflame shook his head. "I know that as well. However, if I fail the tribulation, the Purple Thunder Divine Flame will be destroyed as well. If our lineage wants to continue on, we need Daoyin to form his golden core as soon as possible. There isn't much time left for him. I have to ensure the continuation of our lineage." Wang Daoyuan sighed and said, "I have True Monarch 100 Spirit's secret technique for nurturing spiritual fire. As long as I separate a bit of the spiritual fire's essence, I'll be able to nurture a pseudo-spiritual fire. With the pseudo-spiritual fire and Daoyin's minor divine ability, I'll be able to condense the spiritual fire very quickly. The damage to the spiritual fire itself won't be too great. You'll be able to recover very quickly." After saying that, he took out True Monarch 100 Spirit's secret technique for condensing the pseudo-spiritual fire and gave it to Daoist Thunderflame. Not long after he looked at the secret technique, a purple flame appeared in his hand. Above the flame, there were flashes of lightning. The flame seed of this flame was the size of a longan. Afterward, he sent his divine sense into the flame and separated out a pea-sized flame seed. He then used the rootless flame of the Purple Thunder Divine Flame to envelop the flame seed. He then gave the pseudo-spiritual fire to Wang Daoyuan. "I still need to prepare some magic tools for the tribulation. I'll leave this pseudo-spiritual fire to you." Wang Daoyuan took the pseudo-spiritual fire and gave the corpse core and a small piece of earth essence to Daoist Thunderflame. Then, he took out the meteorite fire-controlling gourd and stored the pseudo-spiritual fire into it. He then converted the wood and fire spiritual energy into lightning spiritual energy and poured it into the gourd to nurture the pseudo-spiritual fire. Chapter 650. The meteorite fire-controlling gourd was able to keep the rootless fire from extinguishing, let alone the pseudo-spiritual fire. Half a day later, the pseudo-spiritual fire was completely stabilized. Wang Daoyuan kept the gourd in the space of the spiritual pearl. He would pass it to his brother when he met him. After that, he cultivated in the crafting room of his master's cave. A month later, the damage caused by Master Lei Yan separating the pseudo-spiritual fire was almost recovered. The magic tools to resist the heavenly tribulation, healing pills, and other items were also prepared. At this time, Master Lei Yan's face was rosy. Although it was difficult to hide his decline, he was in good spirits. He came to the crafting room and smiled. "Dao Yuan, I'm ready to form my nascent soul at any time. Those old enemies already know that I'm trying to form my nascent soul, so they'll definitely cause trouble. Even if they don't dare to make a move directly, it's inevitable that they'll play some tricks in the dark. This time, I'll be relying on you to protect me." Wang Daoyuan replied, "It's natural to protect you. Now that I have a 4th rank upper grade man-made mystic realm, why don't you form your nascent soul in my mystic realm? That way, you can avoid the interference of your enemies." Master Lei Yan shook his head. With the corpse core, the 4th rank upper grade spirit vein is barely enough, but the mystic realm is not stable enough. The power of the Yuanying heavenly tribulation is not comparable to that of the golden core heavenly tribulation. The entire mystic realm may be destroyed. Once the mystic realm is destroyed, I won't be able to escape. I know your filial piety, but I'm already so old. It doesn't matter if I fail. There's no need to risk a mystic realm. With that, he flew out of the treasured Cauldron Mountain and headed west. Wang Daoyuan also followed him on a cloud. When they arrived at the Heavenly Tribulation Valley, Master Lei Yan landed on the stone altar in the middle of the valley. The Golden Core cultivators of the Divine Weapon Pavilion already knew that he was trying to break through the Yuanying Heavenly Tribulation. At this time, all the idle Golden Core cultivators of the Divine Weapon Pavilion were waiting near the Heavenly Tribulation Valley. This was a miracle that had never appeared in 10,000 years. If Master Lei Yan succeeded in forming his nascent soul, perhaps others would have a chance in the future. For nearly 200 years, the concentration of spirit qi in Beiyuan Xiuxian had been slowly rising. At most, in 1 or 2,000 years, or at least a few hundred years, Beiyuan Xiuxian might have another level 5 spirit vein. Now that he was here to take a look, he could also gain experience. Forming a nascent soul was not like forming a core, where one needed to absorb a large amount of spiritual energy from the outside world. Most of the spiritual energy came from the golden core, so he didn't need to absorb much spiritual energy from the outside world. In addition, with the corpse core providing spiritual power, he didn't need to meditate for a long time. Daoist Thunderflame took out the corpse core, the earth essence, and a golden pearl. After that, he used the purple thunder divine flame to burn the 3 of them. In less than 10 breaths of time, the earth element essence had turned into liquid. A large amount of liquid also flowed out of the corpse core and the golden bead. He swallowed the 3 balls of liquid into his abdomen and merged them with his golden core. His golden core only had lightning attributed spiritual power, and it was originally a single entity. If he wanted to shatter his golden core, he would have to fuse spiritual items of other attributes into it. This was equivalent to having other impurities in the golden core. Its strength would be greatly reduced and it would be easier to shatter. 2 hours later, a purple gold sphere appeared above Daoist Thunderflame's head. It was his golden core. The golden core expanded rapidly, and its diameter soon reached about 3 feet. Not long after, the golden core shattered, turning into countless fragments. A purple sphere with a diameter of 1 foot rose from between his eyebrows. The fragments produced by the golden core's shattering slowly gathered towards the purple sphere. At this moment, a peak golden core cultivator walked forward and shouted, "Senior Martial Brother Thunderflame, Junior Martial Brother Xianyan is here to protect you." After saying that, he flew towards the Heavenly Tribulation Valley. Daoist Thunderflame's golden core had already shattered, and his Yuanying had yet to form. He was currently at his weakest state. If Daoist Xianyan were to intervene now, he would definitely fail to form his nascent soul. Just as he was about to fly 50 miles away from Daoist Thunderflame, Wang Daoyuan used the Black Tortoise Purgatory to contain him. Daoist Xuanyan's head crashed into the Black Tortoise Purgatory's water wall and bounced back. In his fury, he condensed a ball of black flames on his fist and punched the water wall. The water wall shook violently, but it didn't break. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Martial Uncle Cloud Crane, aren't you going to do something about this?" Daoist Cloud Crane was about to speak when a half-step Yuanian cultivator wearing a black robe who looked like he didn't have much time left smiled and said, "Xian Yan had good intentions, but he was a little impatient and caused the junior to misunderstand. Martial nephew Cloud Crane shouldn't get involved in such a small matter." After saying that, he stood in front of Daoist Cloud Crane. The intensity of the Divine Weapon Pavilion's internal strife was beyond Wang Daoyuan's imagination. Someone actually dared to openly attack a cultivator who had just broken through, and even threatened the pavilion master. Since no one said anything fair, then let's do something ruthless. Although Daoist Xianyan was a peak Golden Core cultivator, he was only a second-rate Golden Core cultivator. If no one stopped him, he wouldn't be able to survive Wang Daoyuan's attack. Daoist Xianyan continuously attacked the Black Tortoise Purgatory, but he couldn't break it. He was very anxious. Wang Daoyuan added fuel to the fire and slowly shrank the Black Tortoise Purgatory. At this moment, a late-stage Golden Core cultivator rushed out and said, "Senior brother Xianyan, let me help you." Before he finished speaking, he was locked up by another Black Tortoise Purgatory. This time, no one dared to step forward, except for the black-robed cultivator. "Junior, how dare you be disrespectful to your elders? Hurry up and release Xianyan and the others." Wang Daoyuan cursed in his heart, "This shameless old man, it's too obvious that he's biased." However, he still replied politely, "Senior, please wait a moment. Once my master finishes his tribulation, I'll release them." They didn't dare to wait any longer. If they made a move now, it would be time to settle the score after Daoist Lei Yan finished his tribulation. The black-robed cultivator said angrily, "Junior, you're being rude." After saying that, he waved his hand and shot out a ray of black light, wanting to break through the Black Tortoise Purgatory. Wang Daoyuan took out the white tiger blade and summoned 10 sword shadows. The 10 sword shadows simultaneously slashed at the black light. Under the attack of the sword shadows, the black light quickly dissipated. Out of the 10 sword shadows, 5 were destroyed. Wang Daoyuan summoned another 5 sword shadows. The black-robed cultivator's expression turned serious. Although it was just a casual attack, it still contained 60 to 70% of his full strength. Yet, it was blocked just like that. Wang Daoyuan also had some confidence in his heart. Although the strength of this half-step Yuanying was much stronger than him, he was not completely defenseless. Daoist Master Yunhe didn't want to cause a ruckus here, so he quickly persuaded, "Martial uncle, martial nephew Daoyuan isn't weak. He's more than enough to protect senior brother Lei Yan. Senior brother Xianyan, you don't have to interfere, right?" The black-robed cultivator didn't say anything else. If they really fought, his faction wouldn't be able to gain an advantage. After thinking for a moment, he said, "Xianyan, you too can leave. Martial nephew Lei Yan has Dao Yuan protecting him." Xianyan and Daoist Master Yunhe cupped their hands and acknowledged. Wang Daoyuan moved the Black Tortoise Purgatory until it was 100 li away from Daoist Lei Yan. Daoist Master Yunhe was completely humiliated by a junior. He turned around and left. In the Heavenly Tribulation Valley, Daoist Lei Yan's Purple Palace had already gathered all the Golden Core fragments together. At this moment, the Purple Palace had also shattered and fused with the Golden Core fragments. The Purple Palace phenomenon didn't shatter. Instead, it floated around his soul. His soul was exposed and began to absorb the Golden Core and Purple Palace fragments. The more he absorbed, the more solid his soul became. 15 minutes later, his soul absorbed all the Golden Core and Purple Palace fragments into his body. His soul became solid. The purple lightning divine flame appeared out of nowhere and approached his soul, gradually shrinking. Soon, it fused with the purple palace phenomenon and turned into a flame pattern that was engraved between his soul's eyebrows. When his soul fused with the golden core and purple palace, it could be called Yuanying. At this moment, Daoist Lei Yan's Yuanying was 3 inches tall and was entirely purple-gold in color. When a Yuanying cultivator had just formed their Yuanying was 1 to 5 inches tall. A 3-inch Yuanying was already not bad. Wang Daoyuan looked at the flame pattern between his master's Yuanying's eyebrows and thought to himself, I have 5 purple palaces. When I form my nascent soul in the future, will the Yuanying be able to fit in between my eyebrows? The azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and Kirin were all pretty good. However, the black tortoise mark was a little awkward. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.